For your time. This is a two-part live pertaining to Jordan Chiles and this bronze medal debacle and the verdict watch for Sean Finnegan in Clinton, Tennessee. This is a death penalty case. The jury is still out. Don't know what the holdup is. Dear God, help us all. Let's get down to business with Ms. Jordan Chiles. Thank you for joining me. Athlon Sports is the source. I brought you commentary that she returned the medal. I read an article about 2 weeks ago where it stated her mother said she was returning it. So I assume she returned it since this young lady, Miss Anna Barbosa, has received her duplicate medal Friday, August 16th. Now, this commentary is saying she has not returned the medal. Is she going to return the medal? What is really going on? Athlon Sports is the source. The International Olympic Committee has demanded Jordan Chiles to return the bronze medal she got from the floor exercise final of the 2024 Olympics. By the looks of it, however, the U.S. gymnast has yet to comply with the order. According to Christine Brennan of USA Today in an August 15th report, her anonymous sources confirmed that Chiles is still in possession of her bronze medal. Furthermore, the 23-year-old gymnast apparently has no plans of returning the medal as officials continue to fight the ruling. U.S. Gymnastics is expected to appeal the ruling of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, to the Swiss Federal Tribunal. It is the highest court in Switzerland, and it can take appeals on rulings made by tribunals such as the CAS. American Jordan Chiles is in the United States and still has possession of the bronze medal that was awarded to her in the floor exercise at the Paris Olympics. Two people with knowledge of the situation who did not want to be identified have told USA Today Sports, Brennan wrote. Jordan Chiles won the bronze in the floor exercise final of the Olympics in quite the controversial fashion. She initially placed fifth with a score of 13.666, while Romanian gymnasts Anna Barbosa and Sabrina Voina finished third and fourth, respectively, with a similar score of 13.700. Barbosa had the edge to a tiebreaker, higher difficulty score. However, Chiles moved up to third after her coach, Cecile Landy, challenged her difficulty score. After a brief inquiry, the judges agreed to give the American star an additional 0.10 point. It increased Chiles' score to 13.766, surpassing both Barbosa and Voina. The Romanian Olympic and Sport Committee nonetheless appealed to the CAS to review the turn of events. The court then found that Landy's challenge came 4 seconds after the 1-minute deadline. With that said, the CAS ruled that the additional score for Chiles should be voided and the original standing should be restored. The International Gymnastics Federation followed the ruling and restored the final ranking, putting Barbosa back to third, Voina fourth, and Chiles fifth. The IOC, which is responsible for the allocation of medals, then demanded that Chiles return her medal. USA Gymnastics tried to appeal the ruling to the CAS, claiming that they have evidence to prove that Landy's challenge came within the deadline. Unfortunately, the court said they could no longer reopen a case once a final ruling has been made. Very interesting. For what it's worth, Brennan's report came a day before the Romanian Olympic and Sport Committee held a ceremony in Bucharest for Barbosa to receive her bronze medal. Considering that Chiles still has her medal, it's safe to assume that the IOC provided a new one for Barbosa. Exactly. But it remains to be seen that the IOC will continue to force Chiles to return her medal. But since USA Gymnastics is still trying to fight for Chiles' place at the Olympics, the saga is not expected to end anytime soon. AthlonSports.com is the source. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for tuning into this live stream. So maybe that is the reason why she has not returned the medal. It's because her side, American side, is still fighting to get the score reinstated. I'm trying to understand what's the big deal. Because this is all the judges' fault. Because if you stand on what you believe in, we wouldn't be here today with this nonsense. If you had just stood on what you firmly believed her score to be, whether her coach said, hey, she performed the task, difficult task, blah, 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 we need a reconsideration, you should have stood on it. No, she's at third. We wouldn't be here today. So, complaint from her coach, complaint from the Romanian side, decision remade to give it a third. Then it's taken to another court to say, no, she deserves to be back at fifth. Now we have a ceremony in Bucharest, Romania to give this woman, Anna, a bronze medal, obviously a new one, a replacement. Yes, she has a duplicate. And Jordan still has the original bronze medal. This is a hot butter mess. Pardon my discrepancy because I put up some shorts saying that she has returned the medal. So obviously she has not. But I got that information from an article that stated her mother said she would be returning it once, they gave that final decision. Allegedly, the mother said she was returning it. So I just assumed she had returned it. And now with this ceremony taking place in Bucharest, I just still would naturally assume that Miss Chiles had returned the medal. Obviously, she has not. This is a hot butter mess. So once again, is she holding on to it because she's waiting to see what the Swiss tribunal will say? Is she holding on to it because she feels like she deserves it? Even if she holds on to it, it's not validated. Because we all have talked a lot of junk, pertaining to this debacle, some of us. And I've said, hell, don't give it back, keep it. But in the end, it's not validated. And that's what you want. You want validation, that you want it outright from the judge's opinion out the gate. You want that first reading, first, second, third, fourth, whatever. So they said fifth originally. And naturally, that's a blow to anybody's ego and talent. And in the end, this is still somebody's opinion. Always remember that when it comes to judging any type of competition. This is somebody's opinion that you did this or you didn't do that. So I don't know how many people are on the judging panel, but they should have stood firmly on their decision of ranking Miss Jordan Chiles as number 5. And we wouldn't be here today with this nonsense. Now, back to Tennessee. Sean Finnegan, 56-year-old male, white male, is facing the death penalty in an Anderson County courthouse. And right now the jury is still out. We've gone from Friday to now Monday afternoon, 3 days later. Still no verdict. Why not? I was just over at Law and Crime, about less than an hour ago. And the Queen decides to give her opinion. I responded to some goofy ass person who feels like Sean is not guilty. All the blame is Rebecca. Well, obviously you haven't done your homework, Mauve Moon. He's done this before. He just didn't get charged. Why? Don't know. Blount County don't have the record, don't have the complaint. But Knox County has the complaint from the woman. And what are the odds 4 years beforehand, someone is bringing forward the same allegations. They have proof that the lady was battered in his care, but yet no charges were brought. And then you fast forward to 2019, okay, 4 years later, a woman is missing and just so happens to be found in their freezer the following August of 2020. Now, you just put that on paper. Because 14 came before 2020, came before 2019. So just how is it somebody is saying, oh yeah, I went to this guy's home and he started beating me up and bruising me and manhandling me and wouldn't let me out in 2015. And then 2019, this same person is now living in Anderson County in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and he has taken in this woman off the street in a guise to pay her for sex, drugs, have a place to stay, whatever he told her, because I don't know, I wasn't there. But allegedly, Ms. Dishman says that was the guise. She needed a place to stay. Didn't know her, don't know nothing about her, but I was there when everything went down. And yet these goofy-ass people want to sit here and uphold this man after he's admitted in interrogation that he tied the woman up. Let's start at the beginning. He brought her to his house. He tied her up. His version is Rebecca hit her with the bat. Well, you still didn't call 911. You still didn't try to get her help, take her to the emergency room, help, take her to the hospital, drop her off. You didn't do anything. You didn't aid her. You didn't try to get her medical attention. You didn't take her to the hospital. You didn't call 911 dispatch. Who watches somebody beat up somebody or allegedly say, oh, I came downstairs and saw that my girlfriend had a bat, but you don't render any aid. You're not scolding the person that used the bat, but then you're carrying the person upstairs. Then you change that version and say, oh, she walked up there on her own. Why would I want to walk up to your stairs in another part of the house so you can do what? Do exactly what was said. Tie me up. Tie me up. That's the whole purpose of getting up those stairs, to finish her off. So whether you believe he took her out there for sex, drugs, loneliness, threesome, the point is she's dead. So that's what these goofy people need to understand that want to put all the blame on Rebecca Dishman. He's done this before when there was no Rebecca, point blank. Say it again, Queen. He's done this before when there was no Rebecca, when there was no threesomes with other women. So now you got to ask yourself how many times he's done this, tie up women, hold them hostage, beat them up, cut on them, and they didn't tell. They got away. Or did they get away? Are we now saying there could be possibly more victims? So when you go into a chat professing you know so much about the story, you obviously don't. Because there's a record on file here in Knoxville that he kidnapped a lady, took her from Knoxville to Blount County, held her hostage over there. She talked him out of harming her further. He brought her back to Knoxville. And police say the lady did have evident wounds of being restrained. Not made up. So hell yeah, I'm going to give you the business in the chat. You don't know what you're talking about. You're sitting here talking about all this bullshit about what the court said about Rebecca, what they said in court. Well, what they said about Rebecca was no better than what was said about Sean. How is one better than the other? They both like kinky sex. She allowed somebody to beat her up and punch her and break her glasses and abuse her and bring other people into their sex life. They're evenly yoked. But at some point she got tired. And that's her choice. Where she fucked up is that she stayed and she allowed herself to get wrapped up in the abuse of this woman. Even if she never touched Jennifer Paxton, she stood there and did nothing. She said she untied some zip ties. Maybe the lady was, felt like, her legs, arms going numb. They're going to go numb. You're sitting in the same place all day. You're not moving. I don't know what Rebecca did or didn't do. You can argue that till you're blue in the face. The point is she was there. And it's called the law. In the commission of a crime here in this state of Tennessee, you can willingly be with people and don't know what they're getting ready to do. But if somebody ends up dead, such as with a gun, you are equally responsible. So in this case, it wasn't a gun, it was strangulation, mutilation. But you were there. So this is Sean's house, his address. His mother stayed there. He had ties to the place. He took the lady to the place. How is he not culpable for what happened to her? You can't just say, well, yeah, I tied her up and raped her, but I didn't kill her. I didn't choke her. I didn't carve on her. Oh, no, I didn't masturbate on her. No, there's no DNA. My DNA ain't on her. Yeah, you know why? Because you all had time to clean the body. You had time to clean her up after you hit her with the bat. That was said. Then you take her back upstairs to play more funny games with her. And then more than likely, you probably cleaned her up before you put her in the plastic bags before putting her in the freezer. Did I clear that up? You don't have to be in the house to know who did what to Miss Paxton, who said what to Miss Paxton, the circumstances that got Miss Paxton to 318 East Fairview Road. You don't have to know the circumstances. The circumstances stand on its own. A woman was found deceased in a freezer, well, under a bed thawing out. Once thawed out at the medical examiner's office, she had a multitude of wounds that I doubt she inflicted to herself. That's the point. She didn't do it to herself. She did not do it to herself. So there's no way in my sane mind I'm going to argue with anybody about a person found under a bed frozen. Under the bed of the person who lives there. Under the bed of the person who pays rent there. Assuming their name is on the lease. Assuming they had contact with the person. Assuming they brought the person there. Verified by the person who was dating the suspect. Verified by his manager. Oh yeah, that person used to come in here and use the bathroom. So what are the odds? He's got a woman under his bed, frozen, that frequent the restaurant where he worked at the Pint House and frequent the area in Knoxville, a whole different jurisdiction. Oh, the UFO brought her. A UFO took her from Knoxville to Oak Ridge and just planted her inside of 318 Fairview Road. Help me understand. Just like he told the cop, what am I supposed to do? Basically saying, yeah, I got to throw her under the bus because she went and ran her mouth. Reason why he was arguing with the neighbors. So who does all this arguing and getting upset and threatening people? And they know they got a dead person in their house in a freezer, but yet they're out here arguing because they're mad their girlfriend's gone. Because that's the point of this story. Mr. Finnegan didn't like to be alone. He was another Jeffrey Dahmer, lonely, needing a warm body, let's say. There are a lot of men that are this way because we always portray women as lonely creatures. But there are some men who are lonely as well. But the difference with these type of men, Jeffrey Dahmer, Sean Finnegan, their loneliness borders on psychosis, psychopathy. I want you here and I don't want you to leave. And if you decide to leave, you try to leave, I'm going to do everything I need to do to make sure you don't get out this door. And that is what happened with Jeffrey Dahmer. Loneliness begat death, murder, mutilation, abuse of a corpse. Same thing here. I don't want her out of here. I brought her here for a reason. She ain't going nowhere. I believe most of what Rebecca Dishman said. Did she tell everything? Possibly not. But the point is, you're never going to know. But what I do know is what's called common sense. You have a tie to the lady, which is your job, which is the area she frequents. She's brought to your house. You spoke about her to your same boss with the same name, Jennifer. What are the odds? And then she's later found under your bed. So it really doesn't matter what your defense attorney says in court to the jury, to the court, that you're a great guy, you're all these things. You're not great. And I'm not saying that people can't change. People can't make mistakes. There are people who have been known to be violent offenders, stayed in trouble with the law, domestic assault, violent assaults, and then they change. I've met a lot of people who have stayed in trouble with the law, and they're not the same people that they were. They're not out here breaking the law. They're not getting in trouble anymore. They work. They have a place to live. They have children, grandchildren, because people can change. And I always say you can change if you set your mind to it. But this type of crime is totally different. We're not talking about your average Joe who got a couple of warrants and drug selling and beating up people and decided to make a change. Found Jesus, Allah, and changed their life. We ain't on that page. We're on an entirely different page. We have now entered the abyss where you're at the point of no return. We are in the belly of the beast. It's murky, it stinks, it's ratchet. No climbing out. You heard the state say, he could have called. Why is everybody putting the blame on Rebecca? Well, it's the obvious. he's the orchestrator, he's not going to call. Why would he call? If his intentions were to take the lady there to play funny games, he had no intention of letting her out, because he knows what happens if he let her out. She could possibly go to the police and file a complaint. He didn't need the aggravation, the trouble. He didn't need to be bonding out of jail, so on and so forth, missing work. So all this bullshit about he's a friendly guy, he takes in people, he takes in street people, it's a difference. And it's not to knock anybody living the life, but it's not the same as regular living. You're not taking in your great nephew who needs to, get a job, go to school, or he's doing something with himself and he just happens to need a place to live. We're not talking about that type of person. We're talking about people who are hopping around from place to place, street to street, with no direction, don't care to keep a place to live, work, possibly obey the law. So you're catering to street people. And I'm saying it because it's the truth. So all that BS about he's a friendly guy, he helps people out, he takes care of his mother, what's your point? His mother's in hospice, but yet she's home alone for hours. Never heard one mention of a caregiver during the testimony in court last week. Why not? Him telling the boss, oh yeah, I got 2 women there. They're taking care of my mother. But yet Rebecca said she didn't have a relationship with the woman. She didn't really have an opinion of her either way. Good or bad. Imagine that. So what am I supposed to believe? While Rebecca was in his home, she never talked to Miss Francis. They never held a conversation. They never played cards. She didn't bring her a drink of water, breakfast, food, meds, help her to the toilet, give her a bath. I didn't hear none of that. Well, yeah, I'd help her bathe, get her dressed, do this. It seems like Francis was in her room doing her thing, and Rebecca was in that dungeon doing her thing. That's how it was portrayed in court, because I never heard that the two interacted. And when she said, I don't have an opinion about her either way, that leads me to believe she didn't have no dealings with Francis. They just stayed in the same house. And we know that she ventured out of the house because she talked to the Kelsey girl who's on the in apartment. She also went out her back door to go talk to Mahogany. Their back doors faced each other. So her dealings were mainly with the other neighbors, not Francis. Why not? Same thing with Mr. Finnegan. Why are you telling your boss you got 2 women with you? But yes, say that Jennifer has to go. Was he trying to put the message out in case somebody hears she's missing, she's left my house? I always tell you to pay attention to the details, because there's a reason for the season. There's a reason he told his boss he has 2 women in the house, but one has to go. Because she possibly was already dead when he made that comment. Let me go ahead and put out here, she's left my house, just in case people start asking about her and somebody ties me to her. Somebody says, oh yeah, I saw her get in his car one night after work. See, there's always an eye in the sky. Security cameras. But who's going to be able to pull cameras from 8 months beforehand? Because they'll probably erase themselves after 2 weeks, 1 month. Now, had this been somebody that people were really in tune with, she called somebody every day, they could have went to the police department and said, hey, my friend's missing, my sister's missing. I haven't heard from her. She hasn't checked in. She hangs over here near this area, blah, blah, blah. And then the police could have gone around and started asking people, stores, businesses, hey, have you seen this lady? Have you seen this lady? Her sister, mom says she's missing. See where I'm going with this? And then somebody would have popped her up. Oh yeah, there she is going in the Pine House. There she is hanging outside the Pine House. There she is getting into the car of a Sean Finnegan. Checkmate. But we don't have that because too much time had elapsed. And when she was found, as I said, 9 times out of 10, there would have been no footage on anyone's security camera. Would have overlapped itself. The jury. What is the malfunction? I was in and out of sleep earlier today, this morning, trying to hear, ear hustling basically the best I could without looking at the TV what the hell was going on with the judge and the jury, giving them instructions. They had questions. What are you all confused about? What in the hell are you all confused about? What is it that you need to know to come to a decision? What are you struggling with? You're struggling with number one, he's guilty, he ain't guilty. You're struggling with giving him life or giving him death. Or you're struggling with letting him go altogether. What are you struggling with? Because what's going to be baffling, they think he ain't done nothing. They done got some damn country bumpkins in there who think, yeah, he's a bad guy. He's got kinky sex. He's lonely. But that girl did it all. That girl did it. All right. We're back on.
Here comes in, but I know we've got family members here and interested parties. You can't have a reaction to this. If you do, you need to leave. And if you have one, I'll stop everything. Ask you. So please don't do that. Okay? So everybody, so you promise me that you'll do your best, no reaction, no matter what the verdict. Okay?
Almost 5:15.
Okay. Bring it. Everybody rise, please.
Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Have a seat, please. And what are you doing? I've got 13 counts to read here, so there's a lot. So be patient with me as we go through this. So, Mr. Finnegan, if you and your counsel stand up, please, sir. Count 1, premeditated first-degree murder of Jennifer Paxson. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Verdict form for count 2, first-degree felony murder of Jennifer Paxson during the perpetration of intent to perpetrate aggravated rape. For aggravated rape. Next, count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of first-degree felony murder during the perpetration or attempt to perpetrate aggravated kidnapping. Count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of attempted aggravated rape. Count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan not guilty of the case of aggravated rape with bodily injury to Jennifer Paxson.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Count 5. Aggravated rape, aiding or abetting with one or more persons. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of aggravated rape. Count 7. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of aggravated kidnapping. Count 8. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of especially aggravated kidnapping. Count 9. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan not guilty of conspiracy to commit premeditated first-degree murder.
So no premeditated murder.
Count 10.
Wow.
We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of conspiracy to commit aggravated rape. Count 11. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of conspiracy to commit aggravated kidnapping. We, the jury, find the defendant. Count 12. We, the jury, find the defendant Shannon Finnegan guilty of abuse of the corpse. And finally, count 13. regarding tampering evidence. We, the jury, find the defendant Sean Shamp, defendant guilty of tampering with evidence. Thank you. You got a seat, please.
Yeah, no, Skylar, he don't.
So, ladies and gentlemen, jury, that means we still got some more work to do. The first thing I have to do is I have to poll the jury. So don't worry about your prior numbers. I'm just going to go down the line and refer to you by number to make sure everybody agrees with these verdicts I just read in there. Juror number 1, we're back. Was that your verdict, sir? Yes. Juror number 2? Yes. Juror number 3?
Yes.
So no premeditated murder.
Juror number 5?
I think
Yes.
Juror
fun.
number 6?
Yes.
Juror number 7?
Yes.
Juror number 8?
Yes.
Juror number 9?
Yes.
Juror number 10?
Yes.
Juror number 11?
Yes.
And juror number 12.
Yes.
All right, our plan is this. We'll let y'all go in just a moment. I think dinner's already there at the hotel. I want y'all to come back at 10 in the morning. The reason for that is the lawyers and I have some work to do before this other case is presented to you, this mini trials we've talked about. And tomorrow we'll learn about aggravators and mitigators. And then I'll give you some instructions on that, and y'all will get to work on that as well. I remember my instructions to you. I know you've done a lot of work. I know you've worked really hard back there, and I really, really appreciate that. So we can't ruin this now by y'all going and talking to each other about this individually. So please don't do that. I'll have to ask you again tomorrow morning to raise your hand and say, please don't do that. You've done great so far, and I really appreciate your work, but we've still got a little bit more work to do. So I look forward to seeing y'all in the morning, and thank you for working so hard yesterday and today and reaching a verdict this case. And we'll go from there. Okay? All right, so everybody rise, please. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Lord. What kind of people are these fucking sick-ass, country-ass folks? Yeah, I said that.
Probably need to.
You people need help.
Yeah, probably need to talk.
Jimmy.
I probably need to talk to the alternates sometime after they all leave. Bring the 2 alternates in there. Yes. And we got them, bring them there. And
I have no words.
Very good. Thank you, FC, please. So tomorrow, if y'all can be here at 8:30, I know y'all filed like 3 motions. I've got to address and take care of those. And then obviously we'll have to do jury instructions and talk about those things as well. But if y'all will have your aggravating evidence ready tomorrow morning at 10, and then if y'all will have your mitigation evidence tomorrow, then we'll start going from there. Is there anything for the state I need to do? Okay, anything for the defense? No. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll stand and y'all can wait if you want to. All I'm going to do is tell the 2 alternates that we've reached a verdict in regard to this part of this trial, and I'm still keeping them. They'll go back to the hotel. They can't have contact with anybody. They can't talk about the case. They'll come back, and then we'll see how we get on the litigation stuff. Is that okay? All right, we'll stand and recess. Everyone rise, please. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Thank you. Yes. What? It's going because you said that. I just said that today. That's fine. Okay, up you go. Thank you. If y'all want to stand for me, tell the alternates, you can.
Wow. Wow. Oh, Lordy. I have no words. All of this is because the things she said in court, they can't verify what he said and did not say. Well, that's the whole point. You all don't like to allow he said, she said in court. Nobody can ever say what somebody told them. So they want to make it all about Rebecca Dishman, as if she orchestrated this. It doesn't matter. She's in his house. She's dead in his house. This is ridiculous. She's dead in his house. And I'm supposed to sit here and believe in my right mind, knowing what I know, So now I have to ask myself, what did the jury know? Because if they don't know about the 2015 kidnapping of a Knoxville woman, I still don't see why that should even have a bearing on this case. Because this lady has told you what she saw and witnessed in the house. So you basically say you don't believe he deliberately brought that lady out to Oak Ridge to hurt her. So then what's the point
at the metal supermarket
in beating somebody with a bat? What are you gaining by that? This makes no damn sense to me. This makes no sense to me. Sean Finnegan. This is bullshit. I don't understand. I don't understand this. One second, everybody. WATE News, Sean Finnegan verdict. I don't see anything. I just got an update. No, I can't find it. Oh, Lord. 2 days ago, 6 days ago. WATE News, Sean Finnegan verdict reached. What in the world? I just got an update. It's not popping up in the Google search. Oh, Lord. I don't understand. WATE News. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to find this update I just got. I don't see anything. Well, oh, Lordy. Sean Finnegan. I don't know why I just got a notification. So I don't know. Guess I have to wait. All right, everybody, weigh in. Weigh in. Yeah, it's very disappointing. I'd like to know who held the jury up. I had that feeling. I said it on Newsbreak last night, said it in my shorts on YouTube, please don't tell me it's somebody who thinks he didn't commit the crime. Because you're talking about no premeditation on the kidnapping, and I also believe it's first degree murder. This is, oh man. You can't have one without the other. You can't beat a person up, cut on a person, strangle a person, and think they're not going to die. So I'm trying to understand how you don't think it's premeditated. You think you're just going to keep choking the person, cutting on them, leaving them with open wounds, and they're not going to bleed out. This makes no sense. You're holding them hostage and you're abusing them. And you don't think, as an outsider listening to that the person wouldn't die. So you're saying, well, he didn't just go beat her to death. So that's what this is about. You'd prefer that the girl said, oh, he beat her, then she died, then we wrapped her up, then we put her in the freezer. That would make you believe that then it's first degree murder. But because she's held hostage and she laid around for 4 or 5 days, see, you don't know how long she laid around. Because we don't even have a timeline. 2 people, 3 people saying Christmas, this, that, and the other, but we don't really know the actual date. We don't. We just know she's dead. Her body shows she was mutilated. She was strangled. He choked her, he stopped. He choked her, she stopped. So to you all, that's funny. Oh, she could have lived. Well, she didn't. So fucking pissed off I could scream.
Guilty of abuse of the corpse. And finally, count 13, regarding tampering evidence. We, the jury, find the defendant. Count 12. We, the jury, find the defendant, Shannon Finnegan, guilty of abuse of the corpse. And finally, count 13, regarding tampering evidence. We, the jury, find the defendant, Shannon Finnegan, guilty of tampering with evidence. Thank you. You have a seat, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, jury, that means we've still got some more work to do. The first thing I have to do is I have to poll the jury. So don't worry about your prior numbers. I'm just going to go down the line and refer to you by number to make sure everybody agrees with these verdicts that I just read in there. Juror number 1 on the back row, is that your verdict, sir? Yes. Juror number 2? Yes. Juror number 3?
Yes.
Juror number 4?
Yes.
Juror number 5?
Yes.
Juror number 6?
Yes.
Juror number 7?
Yes.
Juror number 8?
Yes.
Juror number 9?
Yes.
Juror number 10?
Yes.
Juror number 11?
Yes.
And juror number 12?
Yes.
All right, our plan is this. We'll let y'all go in just a moment. I think dinner's already there at the hotel. I want y'all to come back at 10 in the morning. The reason for that is the lawyers and I have some work to do before this other case is presented to you, or this mini trials we've talked about. And tomorrow we'll learn about aggravators and mitigators. And then I'll give you some instructions on that. Y'all will get to work on that as well. I remember my instructions to you. I know you've done a lot of work. I know you've worked really hard back there, and I really, really appreciate that. So we can't ruin this now by y'all going and talking to each other about this individually. So please don't do that. I'll have to ask you again tomorrow morning to raise your hand and say it, but please don't do that. You've done great so far, and I really appreciate your work, but we've still got a little bit more work to do. So I look forward to seeing y'all in the morning, and thank you for working so hard yesterday and today and reaching your verdict this day. So, and we'll go from there. Okay? All right, so everybody rise, please.
All right.
I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Yes, ma'am.
Lord have mercy. Help me understand what the hell I just heard.
Definitely, I'll probably need to talk.
Jimmy.
I'll probably need to talk to the alternates sometime after they all leave. Bring the 2 alternates in there.
Yes.
And we got them, bring them in there and tell me got them and all that. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Have a seat, please. So tomorrow, if y'all can be here at 8:30, I know y'all filed like 3 motions. I've got to address and take care of those. And then obviously we'll have to do jury instructions and talk about those things as well. But if y'all will have your aggravating evidence ready tomorrow morning at 10, and then if y'all will have your mitigation evidence tomorrow, then we'll start going from there. Is there anything for the state I need to do?
No.
Okay, anything for the defense?
No.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll stand in, y'all can wait if you want to. All I'm gonna do is tell the 2 alternates that we've reached a verdict in regard to this part of this trial, and I'm still keeping them. They'll go back to the hotel. They can't have contact with anybody. They can't talk about the case. They'll come back, and then we'll see how we do on the mitigation stuff. Is that okay? All right, we'll stand in recess. Everyone rise, please. 12 meeting adjourned until tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Thank you. Yes. What?
Safety office has to be in there.
It's going to be. You said that.
Just leave it in the system tomorrow.
I just said that to me. We're fine. Okay.
I don't know what the state's talking about with him.
If y'all want to stay for me, tell the alternates you can.
All right, everybody, weigh in.
And I'm still keeping them. They'll go back to the hotel.
I don't know what the hell's going on. This is a bad situation. I just lost for words right now. Lost for words. Oh, wow. What trial were they watching? What trial were they watching? Help me understand. Yeah, I get it. One person's word against another one. But I don't care. I don't see how anybody can just assume this man didn't participate in unaliving this woman when he went and picked her up. His own coworker has testified. The lady walked the streets, hung around the area, came into the place to use the restroom. So you all just believe he picked her up, offered her money for sex, and he just was playing around by beating her up. Her body told the story after they thawed her out at the medical examiner's office. She had cuts all over her body, bruises all over her body, 5 strangulation marks on her throat. And you just think that she died how? She fell asleep and what, had an aneurysm? That's not what they told you. That's not what they told you. She told you she died by strangulation. What is it that you understand about that? And the girl told you he would choke her, stop, take a smoke break. And the woman then told you that that's how she died. So you still want to say, oh, well, it wasn't premeditated though. Oh, because he was stopping and taking smoke breaks. She didn't die immediately being hit with the bat. That's basically what you stupid jury members are saying. That she didn't die immediately from being hit with a bat by whomever. She didn't die immediately by being choked. So it ain't premeditated. That's what you're saying. So you would prefer for Miss Dishman to say, oh yeah, I saw the lady standing there in the living room, bedroom, whatever, and he just started choking her, and then she died. So then in your eye, that would be premeditated murder. Yeah, but see, Gigi, that woman would have to say in her mind, after the fact, what she thought he meant she had to go. In her mind, she's thinking go means she got to leave the house. Because there's a difference between walking out and going, I'm going to kill you. See, it has to be proven. And basically that's what happened here in court. They don't think he premeditated the murder or the kidnapping. But yet he's kidnapped somebody from Knoxville before, and they didn't get to hear that. Now, did they secretly go look up the information? I don't know. But you can best believe I better not never find out who was on that jury panel. Please don't speak about the trial. Please don't. Please don't ever do an interview with anybody about Jennifer Paxton, because I'm going to wear your ass out. I'm going to wear your ass out. Because as the state said, with all this abuse done to her while breathing, nobody got her help. So you all are comparing this to basically somebody taking care of a sick person, such as his mother, and just leaving them in the room to die without taking them to the restroom, giving them meds, feeding them. Oh, well, it's second-degree murder. They didn't go in and deliberately, choke the lady, beat the lady. They just left her to die. Well, common sense should tell you if you don't feed a baby or a human, what's going to happen to them? I'll wait. You don't feed a human, you don't feed a dog or cat, what do you think is going to happen to the animal, to the human? You don't get a person medical care after you have hit them over the head. What do you think is going to happen to them? You're slicing on a human being's body with a knife, sharp instrument. You've already beat them up from the head. The lady told you that one of the marks in the forehead was to the bone. To the bone. So she had marks on her while alive, while dying, and after death. Brought in and out the freezer several times. I don't know. Don't care. I don't care if somebody went in there and chipped at the ice to cut on her some more. Who gives a fuck? The point is she's dead, and he lured her there, and I don't have to sit here and say, well, I don't think he was wanting to kill her. I just think he wanted to have sex games. When did beating a person up become a part of a sex game? You like rough sex, so you think choking a person, beating her with a bat, they're going to sustain life. That makes no fucking sense to me. This makes no sense to me. Exactly, he knew what he was doing. Now, guess what? If these fuckers don't think he deliberately kidnapped her or killed her, he'll be on the street. There won't be no death penalty. So that's what they're going to talk about tomorrow, are the mitigating circumstances, which to ask for death. Life, death, or a lesser sentence. So if you're already saying, well, I don't think he premeditated the murder or kidnapped her, the death penalty is off the table. That's obvious. That's obvious. This is bad. Just when you think you've seen it all. I'm just going through the queue. Oh, Lord have mercy. Sean Finnegan, the defense, closing statements. Let's see. That's a stupid thing. Sean Finnegan, closing statements. Oh, Lordy.
A U.S. bank.
This thing is, I don't know why this thing won't. Sean Finnegan. Having problems with this for some reason. Sean Finnegan, closing statements. Oh my God. This is about to be the stupidest microphone. Well, everybody, as you see, not always justice at all. Yeah, let's watch this. Closing statements. Oh man, I can't even think right now because I'm so pissed off.
That testimony, I hope you can see with your own eyes how things happened for them as police officers. And more specifically, thinking about this fact. The Oak Ridge Police Department had a report that a person had a body in a freezer. A patrol officer responded and left. Inquired of the defendant, and the defendant lied. Confirmation, liar. Right? You heard it on tape. If at that moment, the Oak Ridge Police Department hadn't taken it serious enough to assemble the battery of men and women who charged that house, where would we be? And why? Why do you think they assembled that battalion of people to go over there? Put thought into this and think about Robert Mansfield. It starts with him and his conversation with Rebecca Dishman, and then Roy Hines with his conversation with Rebecca Dishman, and Marvell Moore, his conversation with Rebecca Dishman. And none of them went, this one's going to Ridgebrook. We're going to take her to the mental ward over there at Methodist Medical. Right? None of them did that. So I want you to think about their actions based on the words and the perceptions and everything that they perceived when they sat from me to you, from Rebecca Dishman, from us. They sat from her and they heard from her. And did they take it serious? Oh, yeah, they did. Because you heard Mike Ure, that seemed crazy. A frozen body in a freezer. Be easy to dismiss, right? But they didn't. And that's a testimony to Rebecca Dishman's believability and openness and candor in her disclosures to them. You think about it, if for some reason Rebecca Dishman and somehow his ability to hide secret Jennifer under the bed, toss her under the bed, under sheets and whatnot, if that had worked, and where she'd end up, Solway Bridge, dumped over the Solway Bridge, or Raccoon Valley at the waste management facility somewhere, right? And nothing on her body except an unknown male profile. Hate to be that unknown male profile.
Exactly.
But the Oak Ridge Police didn't.
Well, let's talk about that. Talked about this last night during the live. Check out the live from yesterday. Unknown male DNA profile on the victim. Who does that belong to? Somebody else? Because I'm assuming she didn't have on anything underneath. She didn't have any clothes on when they found her. Remember he said he pulled her out the bag from under the bed, the police? She had a bag on the bottom of her waist. Top, she had no top on. So where did they get an unknown male DNA from? That's why I said, are we going to find out that somebody else played funny games with these participants? Somebody else was in the room, touching, groping, sexually assaulting an abused, battered woman. Or hell, maybe even after the fact, after death, I don't know. But where could another DNA come from? Because you're talking about putting her in the freezer. She was bagged up allegedly in the freezer. When the word got out that Rebecca left 8 months later, he took her out of the freezer. So where is this unknown male DNA coming from? I'm confused. That's why I said, who's to say what the hell was going on in this house? Because it was testified in court that several people were coming and going out of the house, spending the night before Rebecca came. 2 other women were coming and going, sleeping with this fool. So now I gotta say what? Somebody else did it. Wouldn't Rebecca throw somebody else in there? Oh yeah, Peaky, Peter, Paul, Dick, Bubba, Pookie, they came and played with her too. I can't with this nonsense.
They took it seriously because of Rebecca Dishman's disclosure. And just like Colton Mahogany Pico, who took it seriously, they put their trust and faith in what she said. They took it to a judge, and they found what they needed to find, and they brought Jennifer home.
I want y'all to look at something right quick.
Pico, who took it seriously, they put their trust and faith.
Right there. To the bone. That wound right there. Ear come off, probably when pulling her out to put her under the bed. Marks on the face, cut marks. Cut marks, over strangulation. I believe that was during strangulation. Tattoo missing for pulling her out of the freezer. Not Satanism, because it was a cross. Low all the way down, she had a cross on her leg. It's still there on the body. All these marks, count them. You count all those. And you tell me, with all these marks, and there were more, because the medical examiner said there were more, she couldn't count them all. That is just us having fun. We weren't going to kill her. But yet she's tied up to a bed like a unwanted dog. For what reason? And you have tied her up after you beat her in the head with a bat and she fought you off with a fire screen. You all took her up the stairs. You switched the stories. Oh, we took her. Oh, she walked on her own because you knew you were lying, Mr. Finnegan. Took her to the shower, washed her off, allegedly. And took her in the room so you could play dirty games with her. And what did Rebecca say when he pulled her pants down? Why don't you shave? So I'm assuming he's speaking of pubic hair. So he's basically telling you his preference. He likes oral sex and he wants a shaven kitty cat. Excuse my expression. performed sex on her, wanted her to perform oral sex on him. She didn't want to. Hell no, she bleeding, she's sick, beat up. And then you want Rebecca to stand over her to climax. These are words from Rebecca. And the girl was turned off. And Rebecca runs off downstairs in her feelings. This ain't deliberate. You look at all them damn wounds, and that's not all of them. Backside, back of the buttocks area, hip area, the letter S carved into her tail. Who did that? The boogeyman. Oh yes, the boogeyman came and he carved my initial in her buttocks or her hip area. What does that mean to carve a letter of your own name into another human being? I'll let that sit right there. You are mine. I own you. Rebecca said he told her, you're not going anywhere. While she was pleading for her life, please let me go. Please let me go. No, we're not letting you go. You're not going nowhere. But yet, her killing is not first-degree murder. So in the eyes of the court, first-degree murder means I walk up to you directly and beat you to death, stab you, bludgeon you right there. I don't keep going back in. I stab you until there's no life. I shoot you until there's no life. I beat you until there's no life. Choking you 5 times, wounds overlapping, which the medical examiner explained that to us in court last week. The shoestring was up and down, up and down. Laceration mark, meaning somebody poked her with a knife. Gonna make her bleed out. Nope, that ain't first-degree murder. He didn't mean to kidnap her. He didn't intend to kidnap her. He didn't intend to kill her. He just wanted somebody to play with. Oh, but my goodness, he already had somebody to play with. That was Rebecca Dishman. And from my understanding, he had other people he could play funny games with, because that was testified in court. He had 2 other women he played games with, sexual games, but they're alive. Why? Why did Jennifer Paxton have to suffer? Help me understand. Why did this woman have to be mutilated, beat up with a bat, strangled, cut on? Why? Why her? What was so terrible about her? Because I don't think she was no better than anybody this punk motherfucker then laid with. I said it. All of them were lost. He wasn't no morning star, as this defense attorney tried to portray him in court. He was no great guy. He was no good Samaritan. He was filth. He is filth. Long, stringy-haired filth. Don't got no conversation. Don't got nothing going for himself. Don't know how to hold a conversation and deal with a woman in a proper manner. Just yank him around, choke him, grab him by the hair, cut on him. That's his way of dealing with you. And this is a great guy. Oh, he likes to take in rabbits and frogs and toads and humans. Oh, it's not no big deal that there were dog collars and chains around. He had dogs. Yeah, but you didn't hear nothing about no dogs when Rebecca testified. I didn't hear one time she mentioned anything about a dog running around the damn house. Yeah, so what were the dogs doing while all this shit was going on in here? Did somebody hear it in the testimony? Help me out. Help me out. Did you hear in court anything about dogs running around the house while all this shit was going on with this woman fighting for her life and being tortured? Look at the marks on this lady. And you sit here and got the audacity to vote not guilty on first-degree kidnapping. You basically saying, what are you saying? Because I'm confused. You know you can't walk around these parts and people find out you was on that jury. And you know what's fucked up about the 12 members? They're somebody's mother, father, brother, sister. They work with somebody. And people will be mortified to know you sat on that jury and you said he didn't deliberately kidnap the lady? He didn't deliberately kill the lady. But what the fuck you think he took her there for? He already had a woman there, Dodo Bird. Man, when I say I can go through the roof right now, I am pissed all the way off. Because I knew it was trouble when they didn't reach a verdict Friday evening. I knew what time of day it was. I said, yeah, we got problems. I can't believe at 53, I'm sitting here even thinking they are confused about his role. So while everybody was wondering what the role of Rebecca Dishman was, we got these 12 goofy ass folks. They can't decide on the role of Mr. Finnegan. Are you hearing this bullshit? And this was his house. That's like this small box I'm in. There's no way I could walk around this small apartment and say to 12 members of a jury, I didn't know somebody was under the bed. Well, I clean up under there once a week. I run the mop up under there. So if I ran the mop up under there and felt something, I ain't gonna bend my big butt down to try to see what the hell it is under my own damn bed. I go in my closet to get shoes out. I ain't gonna notice something in there that don't belong in there. Well, this guy, he was staying with me and he had this bag and I didn't ever look in it. And yeah, it did smell, but I didn't pull it out and come on with all this. It's bullshit.
Faith in what she said, they took it to a judge and they found what they needed to find. And they brought Jennifer home. Larry Dowdell, the responding KPD officer, he thinks he's breaking up a neighborhood dispute. You heard from him. The first...
Skylar, so funny.
The first thing that you
know that nut is guilty.
Can conclude common sense wise when you think about Larry Dowdell is what the information you got from Mahogany, that he's a control freak, that he is in control of everything, is the fact that when Larry Dowdell shows up, by golly, there's Sean Finnegan. He cruised in from the Pint House. He's back here in Oak Ridge from Merchants Road, cussing out the neighbor, threatening to fight, gonna kill him, says Colt. And there are the police. By golly, he's gonna head around and he's gonna meet them. He's gonna be in control of this situation because he's got a body up in his freezer.
All right.
And he meets with the Oak Ridge police, and you heard that interaction. And Sarah Keith started this trial with that. His words. Is there a body in your freezer? Nah, that's liar. Confirmed liar. You have a confirmed liar in your courtroom. You can prove it. You know it. You heard him on tape say that he didn't have a body in his freezer, and you know it was confirmed.
The DA not pulling any punches with this defendant. He is on fire. I tell you what, I'm really enjoying watching his closing arguments. He is good, making sure the jury has all of this evidence to arm them with what they need to decide the facts of this case. And he knows that they're playing the long game here, right? This is a death penalty case, so the state has to get through the guilty innocence phase here and now, and if they do, then it moves on to the penalty phase. And tell you what, this DA is fully prepared. He is sharp. Let me bring in someone else who's really sharp. Retired police lieutenant. He was a commanding officer of the Nassau County Police K-9 unit, the owner of Houndstown, USA, an expert witness now. Mike Gould on the program. Lieutenant, good morning. Nice to see you. You've seen a lot in your years of service. This case, boy, oh boy, it has heads spinning all over the world, people watching this one. What are your thoughts hearing this evidence, Lieutenant?
Yeah, excuse me. Good morning, Julie. Yeah, I often talk about how desensitized I have been over the many years in law enforcement, and I usually only get hooked into an emotional state of mind when we're dealing with animals and very young children. But I have to acknowledge this one, it takes the cake. This guy is a monster. He makes Jeffrey Dahmer look like a Boy Scout. So this is horrendous. This is a horrendous situation for the jury, the family. This is beyond the pale. We all have that little creepy house in our neighborhoods. We drive by and we look at it and we say, boy, that's creepy. But the residents usually go undetected. This guy was like a flashing light, red light, threatening neighbors. And unfortunately, our criminal justice system isn't perfect by any means, and the laws are the laws. And it's just a horrendous situation. If there's a case for the death penalty, whether you're pro or for or against the death penalty, if this case isn't it, I really don't know what case would be.
Oh, you're so right, Lieutenant. You're so right. This case has all of the aggravating factors to it.
So you have this ex-cop speaking aggravating factors. That's what they're going to vote on tomorrow. What was done to Miss Paxton doesn't warrant the death penalty. Well, if you don't think he deliberately kidnapped her or deliberately killed her, you're not gonna vote for the death penalty. Why would you do that? That's the whole purpose of hearing the evidence of what was done to her and the medical examiner explaining to you the state of the body that she succumbed to during and after death. But the point is, if your mindset says, well, I don't think he deliberately did anything to her, I just really think, yeah, he did stuff that led to her death, which is you're glossing over strangulation, mutilation to get to death. You're not going to send the man to death. I won't doubt he will be out before he's 70. I said that. Exactly, Penny. He's not going to get it because you don't even think that he deliberately kidnapped her. You don't think he deliberately killed her. You're just saying, well, he did stuff to her, yeah, that led to her death, yeah. So, hell, will you even give him life in prison? I'm just saying. Yeah, he abused the corpse. No, motherfucker, he did shit to her before she left here. Stop glossing over what they did to her. Because that's what the defense did. Talked around the subject of a dead person, which is disrespectful. Exactly. Cat. Exactly. Then he would get a lesser sentence than Dishman. Exactly. Well said. That's what I was fearing when I saw that they didn't come back Friday afternoon and evening. I said, this is about to be some bull. Because what could you be confused about? That's why I had you all take the polls. What could they be confused about to take this long to reach a verdict? With all that was said by law officials, interrogation, audio, neighbor's account, and the account from Ms. Dishman, and the account of the body, you also saw the gruesome pictures that we didn't get to see. Are you serious? That's the message you're sending to the public with this verdict. Yeah, he took her there, but he didn't intend to hurt her. He didn't intentionally kidnap her either. And he didn't intentionally kill the lady. I'm already pissed off. I don't mind anybody saying they're pissed off because this is ridiculous. Because I can't even imagine the photographs. That's what's even more baffling. These stupid 12 people saw photographs we didn't even get to see. And you still would come back and say, I don't think he did it on purpose. He didn't intentionally take her out there to kill her. If a person walks into a house to think they're getting ready to have sex, eat, whatever, and instead they get hit with a bat, so they make sure to beat her with a full stomach of food. Better feed her first. Make sure she gets some eggs and bacon in her. Hey, I want to show you something. What is it? You see this baseball bat? Yeah. Bing, bing, bing. Hit her in the head. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything to you. Why are you hitting me with a bat? Bing, bing, bing. Keep hitting her. Now she's running in the living room on the floor fighting with a fucking fire cage. Fire screen. Does that sound like a game of hopscotch to somebody out here listening? Oh, I like this. This is fun. Thanks for feeding me and now hitting me in the head with a baseball bat that you stole from your job. Say it again, Queen. You stole that baseball bat from your job. Let me guess. You stole it because you already had plans. I'm going to be using this soon. I already got somebody in mind I want to use it on. Come on with it, Queen, because they don't want to hear it. I knew we were in trouble when I was sitting here listening to these people in the chat on the Law and Crime Network today, defending him and talking bad about Rebecca. Are you serious? Oh, it's all her. She's just a 20-year-old fucked up. Not making excuses for her, but she probably came from a fucked up life. That's why she acted like she was mentally slow. Probably been mistreated her damn self by her own damn parents, who are mysteriously dead, because they sure won't tell us how they're dead. How are two of your parents dead at the same time? Car wreck, plane wreck, what? Overdose, what? Haven't heard one peep about that. So she's going from house to house, house to house. And they probably was mistreating the girl because she's mentally slow. Probably trying to use her. I'm not going to judge her just because she's going from house to house. She's mentally slow. There's something wrong with her. But she still played an active role in this murder of this woman, and I can't give her a pass on that. Because in the end, a lot of people have terrible lives, upbringings, mistreated by people, used by people. They get on drugs, alcohol, prostitution, but you can't use that as an excuse to willingly abuse another human being and allow somebody to murder them in front of you and you say nothing. Whether you hit them, cut them, you were there. That's a problem. We cannot keep allowing people to make excuses to say, well, I fear for my safety. But yet, as the defense said, she could roam. She was able to walk out the door, hang at the neighbors. Then you could have walked your ass out of there and went and got some fucking help. But then the flip side, somebody could say, well, Queen, if she's mentally disturbed, maybe her mind's just warped. She's just looking for love, looking for a place to stay. She didn't want to leave his house. She knew he was mean to her, but she'd rather stay instead of face the music of having to go back to the street, don't know where she would go.
According to what police and the DA has laid out here, this guy seems like beyond sick. I've got a clip. Let's brace ourselves as we listen to this one. This is pretty disgusting what we're about to play, but this is the testimony. His co-defendant, as you know, Lieutenant Gould, came in. Rebecca Dishman, she took a plea to try to lighten up her sentence. No question she had a part in this, but from what prosecutors have said, the person culpable for the murder and who carried out things like the rape and all of that, they say Sean Finnegan. Let's listen to what else Sean Finnegan was doing as part of this horrific abuse.
Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is dropping its first.
Oh, sorry about that. Brief intermission. Oh, Lord, I give up. There's no rest for the weary. Hold on, everybody.
Did you describe that scene for us?
The first time I was taking a shower and I came in to put my dirty clothes in the hamper and he was masturbating and he held out his hand and I was confused as to what it was until I looked over and he had cut her nose and intimate areas.
And what did you do when you walked in and saw that?
It freaked me out. I ran downstairs and was almost outside of the door, but he yelled at me to get back inside.
Ran downstairs at that point, you said?
Yes.
And he yelled at you?
Yes.
What happened after that?
After I went upstairs, he closed the door and made me perform oral sex on him because they were awesome.
Oh my gosh, this guy's even more revolting than I thought. Lieutenant Gold, what did you think here in that clip from the co-defendant?
Before we hear the lieutenant's commentary, I want everybody to sit and digest what you just heard. Okay? I want you to digest the information that you just heard from her mouth of watching this man masturbate to a dead person in a freezer after coming out of the shower to empty her dirty clothes into a hamper. He hands her the nose and intimate area of the woman, which I believe that would be the breast area, nipple. Who could just cut off the body parts of a dead person and hand it to somebody? Here you go. What was she supposed to do with it, Sean? Help the queen understand what the hell's going on. Why did he feel comfortable enough to be masturbating to a dead person, freezer door open, knowing the girl's there with him? So that would make me think he thought she was okay with this, because that's the whole point of the story. He picked people he thought he could do what he wanted to them without rebuttal. Because, Rebecca, you never left. So it escalated. Hit you, push you, knock you down, beat you up, break your glasses, black your eye. Okay. Round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5. So it's an escalation. So what you didn't know about him, he said, I can show you better than I can tell you. You sticking around for me blacking your eye. You're sticking around for the kinky sex. You're sticking around after I've defecated on you. You're sticking around after I urinate on you. You're sticking around after I brought other women in to have sex allegedly. Okay, let's take it a step further. Stay woke, everybody. I'm cutting on her. You like it? You ain't stopping me. You ain't left yet. I'm choking her. You still here? You ain't left yet. Cutting her neck, cutting her head. You still here? You haven't left yet. Choke her some more, choke her some more, choke her some more. Rape her, rape her, rape her. Hey, you get on top of her. You rape her. She don't like that. Run downstairs. But don't run out the house. Come back up. Put her mouth on his penis. You still here? You ain't left yet. Now we have a dead woman. Let's wrap her up, clean her up, wrap her up, put her in the freezer. You ain't left yet. Telling you who to be friends with. Won't give you phone access. You still here? You haven't left yet. 8 months or more. Probably 10 months of abuse, kinky sex, rough sex, defecation, urination, dog chains, dog cages. So somebody's going to say, Rebecca Dishman, you liked how he treated you. Because this is a terrible thing to even have to repeat as a woman, that another woman would succumb to this bullshit. But what you have to always remember is that one thing begets another. If you start letting a person mistreat you, it only escalates. It may not get to this point of mutilation and defecation and dog cages, but it's going to get worse some type of way. That's the point. She didn't know he was a sadist. She didn't know he was going to be cutting on somebody, kidnapping somebody, raping somebody. Did he ever talk about rape, child rape? Don't know. But she had to have known he was no good. The fact they raped the child together, you still stayed. So this is where a lot of people have a problem with Rebecca. You went from the sublime to the ridiculous, and you held on almost a year of this. This is extreme. This isn't even your typical being with being battered by a man. Just, ridicule. Hey, bitch. Hey, whore. Hey, slut. Rough sex. Beat you up. I love you. I'm sorry. This is a whole nother level. And it's not to condone getting beat up by a man is right. But you should know that he keeps beating you up, you could end up dead. So this situation is no different. And that's something else Rebecca did not expect. That you could have been Jennifer Paxton. Checkmate.
Yeah, Julie, this is the height of depravity, and I know she's a key witness, and without her testimony, we wouldn't be here today. So she was a critical part. However, we talk many times on the show about the battered spouse or battered woman syndrome or battered relationship syndrome. But I think that, and we kind of, shouldn't we draw a line in the sand where if this person had an opportunity, this isn't just being battered, she's witnessing the most heinous, horrendous crimes I can even think about. So doesn't she have some kind of responsibility to get help and not just, so I struggle with that battered syndrome. So yeah, no, I don't get this. I really, these things get worse and worse. I don't know if it's just that I'm reviewing these more often, but these cases seem more heinous than ever. I've seen organized crime hits, dismemberment. They don't rise to this level of depravity and sickness. So I don't know. This is a tough one, Julie.
It really is. If I was on that jury, my blood would be boiling at these facts brought in against this guy. I know
obviously didn't.
And I really appreciate the point you made about this co-defendant, because she does have culpability. You are absolutely right. And it seems to me that while sure she was victimized, she also didn't help. She also chose to preserve herself, chose to look out for her own life. She was afraid of him. She was afraid she would be next, essentially. And so it seems like that's where, her moral compass stopped when it came to what she could do to keep herself alive. And she's going to have to live with that. She'll hopefully be in prison for the rest of her life. And hopefully she lives with that on her conscience and not helping Jennifer Paxton more. Lieutenant Gould, I've got more questions for you. We're going to talk more about how we don't know who we're living next to after we take a break. The jury's still out. Let's look at the clock as we go to break. 4 hours, 52 minutes and counting. And we're going to see more of that prosecutor on fire, calling this defendant a big, proven liar. Stay with us. This is Court TV Live. We are your front row seat.
Well said. I was looking at the comments in the Law and Crime live stream today before the verdict was read. And one person made a comment about mahogany. The person said, how interesting is it that mahogany character? Look at who she was friends with, Sean Finnegan. Well said. Sean lived there before Rebecca came into the picture. So you had already been talking to Sean, dealing with him, smoking weed, marijuana, being alone with him. We also know that Mahogany likes white men because her husband's white. Please don't get offended by what I'm about to say. But how do I know he didn't make a pass at Mahogany? try to flirt with her because he obviously has a high sex drive. He is a man. He likes to abuse women, mutilate women. So here you got this pretty black woman sitting in your peripheral alone, smoking weed, or did they occasionally smoke alone? I'm not really sure. But the point is, who's to say they hadn't been alone together? He made a pass at her. Maybe reciprocated. Who's to say? I don't know. Just saying. Allegedly, she went over there with him and Rebecca. But what I'm trying to say is, a man like this has psychotic urges. He's psychotic. Psychopath. So imagine him being alone with any woman. He's not going to be able to contain himself. I thought about that when she was testifying. She talked about them being friends. She was friends with him first. The defense was trying to put it off like, yeah, they were cool. They were cool. I want everybody to think about that. A sadist doesn't have control to some degree, but then to some degree they can, what's the word I'm looking for? Put it on hold, let's say. Put it on the back burner. We learned that with Rex Heuermann. He worked with a lot of women at his architectural firm. He didn't flirt with all of them or make passes at all of them or try any kinky, crazy stuff. So that means he knew how to turn it on, turn it off. But then some men don't know how to turn it on, turn it off. See where I'm going? They don't care what she looks like. Tall, white, short, fat, skinny, black, Puerto Rican. She's a female. I gotta say something just to see she'll take the bait. So the other women who were coming and going out of that apartment, having sex with him, where are they and what story do they have? And did the prosecution ask them to testify, or did the defense ask them to testify? I think these women should have testified to tell us what their relationship was like with Sean Finnegan, if he paid them for sex, how long they stayed in his home, how did he treat them? Did he ever try to choke, strangle, suffocate, mutilate, tie them up, defecate, urinate on them? People want to hear that. But with this fucking jury, I don't think it would have mattered. Because my fear is that he'll be walking the streets in about 10 years or less. Now imagine that. Imagine Sean Finnegan walking around. He's already been in there 4 years. Let's pay attention. And how much time are you going to give a person for abuse of a corpse if you don't think they deliberately killed a person? Although the court showed you she was strangled to death, still murder. But the way these people are acting, hell, they might just let him go. Well, yeah, I know he murdered her, but, you know, that other lady, she was there too, and I think she may have cut on her too and choked her out. How do we know it wasn't her choking her? How do we know it wasn't her that choked her and he was at work? How do we know? We don't know. That's the point. You're right. We don't. We're going by Rebecca Dishman's commentary. He's the one that unalived her, choked her, cut off the nose, cut off the breast, the nipple. He did that. So if these jury members don't think he did any of those things, or they don't know how to place the blame on him, they could easily let this motherfucker walk. Well, he's done his 4 years for abuse, choking her. We'll just give him a couple more years. Let's let him get out on his 70th birthday. Ta-da! Happy birthday! You're free. I'm just saying. Where's this going? Where's this going? Because if you all don't see any premeditation on the part of Sean, then we have a major problem. Trying to see what else I can find. Closing arguments. I want the defense closing arguments. Let's see what they have to say. And then I'll check out of here, everybody. Next live stream will be pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. New information from Court TV about the search. Who's searching for Sebastian? Which I find very interesting that they would even be asking that question. I don't know what the hell is going on out here. Excuse the background noise. Folks acting a fool.
And that it was going to be a lot of fantastic stuff, a lot of gory things, and a lot of gross things, and a lot of things that are probably outside of our normal life experiences. Mostly outside of my life experiences, and I'm making assumptions that most of this stuff is probably outside of yours too. So what I'd like to do is go through the evidence and take a look at what the state's case is and see if we can't separate out the disgusting nature of all of it from the facts that are supposed to lead you to a conclusion. And that's really what you're here to do. And so when I told you at the beginning that this was an intellectual exercise and not an emotional exercise, I meant it. You have to be able to separate out the ridiculousness of this case. I don't really know any other way to say it. I mean, this is a horrible case.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it sure is.
Outside of Anderson County. You hear body in the freezer, and it's about all you need to hear, right? And people want to hold people accountable for that kind of thing. And so, but it's important that we determine what the elements are. And this is where we're talking about an intellectual exercise versus an emotional exercise. Is just because it's outrageous, just because it seems like anybody involved with this should be hung by their toes, and maybe that's what you feel like. But that's not the law, and that's not what we're here to do. We're asking you to do something much more difficult than that. We're asking you not to jump to conclusions. We're asking you to actually look at what came in through the witness stand and through the evidence, and what does it tell you? Because the state does have to prove each and every element of these crimes to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Each and every element. That means even if there's 4 elements and 3 of those elements are satisfied.
Oh, you're welcome, Penny.
It's not proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not guilty. Does everybody understand? I know I'm not supposed to, can't answer me, but so what I want to do is just talk about who we have involved, okay? And we start with Rebecca Dishman.
Left-hander.
All right. What do we know about Rebecca Dishman from the witnesses? What do we know about her before she met Sean? We know that she had trouble staying in homes. She would live with multiple different places, and she kept getting kicked out of wherever she lived. And people would wash their hands of her. She testified to that. She never testified about being homeless or anything like that, so she obviously has a skill at being able to find a place to live. She hadn't worked in some time, although she did have a job as a CNA, right? So we know one thing, she moved around a lot. And what's more important about that is that she's kicked out of every place she lives. And if you've ever had anybody that's living with you, or if you've ever had relatives, or you know anybody that does these kind of things, people don't kick sweet, simple girls out of their house. People kick people out of their house because they're a danger or a threat to something in their house.
I want to stop right there. That is not true. Because somebody asks you to leave their home, apartment, or you feel uncomfortable there, does not mean you did something to these people necessarily. We see this a lot with lots of people, especially in situations of children in foster care. They go from house to house because the people tired of dealing with them. Maybe it's a certain thing they expected from the child, ways, and next thing you know, the state is coming to pick up the children. So we don't even know really what happened with Rebecca Dishman as a child, how her parents treated her, how she was raised. And I've been an adult and had to stay in a certain people's houses in transition to, moving somewhere else as a young person. And everybody has their own ways about their house. So that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Just because a person moves around and around don't mean they're necessarily the problem. The point is, a lot of people really don't want people in their house. How about that? People want money. People want people to help pay bills. So if you got a person that's mentally handicapped, which I think she is, she couldn't hold her weight. You learned she couldn't keep a job. She always got fired. She probably don't know how to conduct herself in a normal fashion to navigate on her own because she was never taught that. So she's going to have a problem keeping a job. And people are going to get tired of feeding you. They tired of you running water, taking long showers, eating up the groceries. Or you could be eating them a short amount of food. They still got a problem because they don't want you there. So that's a lie. Good people get put out to the street all the time when they're transitioning, trying to find a place, find their way in life. People don't want to admit to other people, yeah, I put him or her out because I just didn't want him there. I don't want to feed anybody else. I don't want to take care of anybody else. Yeah, I know I stepped up and acted like I cared. I want to let them stay there. But everybody's got their ways about them. We all know it. Even right now, I could say, I don't want nobody staying with me because I know Queen. I'm finicky. I like things a certain way. I don't want you in here rambling with shit, looking for shit, leaving a mess, bringing other people in my house, shit missing. So I don't want nobody in here. So I get it. So I guess I say I can't judge somebody else if I needed a place to stay and they didn't want me to stay at their house. They feel the same way. So what he's saying here is not necessarily true.
Their home, either stealing from them or they're harmful or some reason. People don't kick people out of their house and wash their hands of them because they're sweet, innocent girls. And the state is trying to present her as this mentally handicapped young lady who's sweet and innocent and is somehow a victim, even though they allowed her to plead guilty to all to first-degree murder and kidnapping and rape. So don't let them base their entire case, which they have, on Rebecca Dishman and the fact that they're trying to tell you that she's incapable of lying. The fact that the DA just stood up here and said that Rebecca Dishman is incapable of lying should give you pause. That's a bold statement to make about their witness. And I mean, I've heard about bolstering witnesses, but my witness can't lie. Wow. So your first-degree murderer, rapist, kidnapper doesn't have the ability to lie. She can set up fake Facebook accounts and she can carry on conversations and relationships.
That is no big deal. Facebook. She did that so Sean would know.
That's what I'm saying.
She was on Facebook.
The state is overplaying their hand a little bit here. And if they have to overplay, you have to ask yourself why. They've got a body in the freezer. They've got someone who's clearly tortured. I mean, there's no denying that this young lady is the victim here. But that's not what this trial has been about. We haven't really heard that much about Jennifer Paxton. We've mostly heard about how Rebecca Dishman is a victim. So let's talk more about what we know about her before she met Sean Finnegan. She moved around several different places, got kicked out of all of them, needed a place to stay. Mostly it was with people she called fiancés, right? She's 22 years old. She has 4 or 5 fiancés. She uses the word fiancé because she moves in with every single one of them because they give her a place to live. And they feed her. So she moves around a lot. What else do we know about her? She doesn't work. She stays at home. She thinks she called herself a stay-at-home girlfriend, right? So she's a stay-at-home girlfriend. All right. She's lazy. She doesn't want to do anything. She stays at home and she lets other people take care of her. That's her MO. That's what she does. And what makes people want to take care of people? If you're sweet and you're simple and you seem like you need help and somebody to take care of you, what did all the witnesses say? She just seemed like someone who needed to be taken care of. That's how she presents herself. Because there's a lot of other things going on in the background, isn't there? There's all these other things happening. So she's clearly able to lie and do all these other things, but she presents herself to these people in a certain way to accomplish what she wants. She's incredibly manipulative. And we know this because she's reaching out and
All right, everybody. I don't know what's happening here. Must have jumped off. Let me see. Well, I don't know why that jumped on there.
things happening. So she's clearly able to lie and do all these other things, but she presents herself to these people in a certain way to accomplish what she wants. She's incredibly manipulative. And we know this because she's
jump a little bit.
Or something that the DA keeps liking to show you.
Brief intermission. Well, weigh in, everybody. Is she a manipulator? What was her role in the unaliving, torture, rape, unaliving of Miss Paxton? Also, is she mentally ill? Does she also deserve a death penalty? Did she participate in any way of harming this lady? While he was at work, what was she doing in the house with the victim? Weigh in.
She took that picture and sent it to Sean. That's why it's on his phone. You can see it from the angle of the shot. You can see it from the angle of the shot.
This is a picture of the defecation. Hold on.
If you look at that picture of her that looks like she's rolling around in feces or something that the DA keeps liking to show you.
Wow.
She took that picture. She took that picture and sent it to Sean. That's why it's on his phone. You can see it from the angle of the shot.
All right, let's talk about that for just a second. It was claimed that he defecated and urinated on her, but the defense says the picture looks like it's at an angle where it would be Rebecca taking the photograph of her rolling around in fecal matter, and that the picture was on his phone. Well, who's to say? Because we know she didn't have a phone. So if the picture is on his phone, then that means she used his phone to take the picture. And who's to say he didn't tell her, hey, take a picture of you rolling around in the boo-boo? I'm not going to sit here and believe Sean wasn't in that room when she took the picture, because Mahogany already testified he did not want them giving her a phone. He didn't trust her using a phone, calling people. She texted a guy before. That's how they first fell out when she moved into the apartment. So common sense would tell you if she didn't have a phone, how was she going to send a picture to Sean on his phone? See, ain't nobody paying attention. She didn't have a phone. And when she did get one, it was a phone given to her by Mahogany. But you know damn well she hid that phone because Sean didn't want her to have a phone. So I can't see her taking Mahogany's phone and sending a picture of her rolling around in boo-boo, because the first thing he'll say is, well, how are you sending me this picture? See, I pay attention to everything. That picture was taken on Sean's phone. And more than likely, I'm going to say 100 out of 100% he was there when she took the photo. The photo came from his phone. He asked her or made her take a picture of the boo-boo. Come on now. You see, if you don't pay attention to what people say in court, you can get lost in a fog. That's the one thing he didn't want, was her talking to people, because he didn't want her telling people stuff. He wanted whatever was going on in that house to be a secret. So he didn't want her to have a phone. So there's no way I believe she had an alternate phone and took pictures of her rolling around in boo-boo and sent it to him. Because the first thing he's going to say is, how are you sending me a picture and you don't got no damn phone? And she wouldn't be stupid enough to send that picture of her rolling around in shit from that girl's phone, because Sean would still be asking, hey, how did you send the picture? Now, what did she do when she had Mahogany's phone? Calling other guys, maybe trying to get somewhere else to stay. sexting, whatever, don't know. But it was said in court on that woman's alternate phone, she was sending, or using her phone rather, she was sending, sex type conversations, but she deleted them. Because I told myself that would be the smart thing to do. But when the data got searched, they notified Mahogany of the nasty messages to some guy, and she let them know, oh, that's not me. I let her use my phone.
We keep talking about her being sweet and innocent and she can't lie. And what really comes down is who's in control. That's what this whole trial seems to be about, is who's kind of controlling this relationship. And the reason why it matters is because intent is an element. So to convict somebody of first-degree murder, to convict somebody of kidnapping or aggravated kidnapping or any of those sort of crimes, you have to find that they intended that it happened that way. And so that's what we're going to dig a little bit deeper into as well. So what else do we know about Miss Dishman? Before she met before she met Sean, she's into Satanism. The state wants to gloss over that, but she comes in and says she's into Satanism and a Wiccan and all these other things. Her dad was a preacher. I understand that teenagers dabbling and all that kind of stuff, but we're dealing with a horrific murder here, with a body that is cut up and sliced, and there is a crucifix that's cut off of her arm. They can say it's sliced out or whatever. That's not. There may have been a freezer burn on there, but they can't really. She didn't testify that that body was taken out of that freezer at that point, so she didn't know any of that stuff. Really, the body could come in and out of that freezer a couple of times. We don't really know. Okay, but we know that the biggest part that was sliced off of her arm is where the tattoo of the crucifix was. There's no other cut like that anywhere on her body. We know she was a cutter.
Let's talk about that. Crucifix on her arm. She also had a cross on her leg, but that cross was still there. So if she was into Satanism, she could be cutting all the crosses off of her body. Say, well, the state tells us, and also the medical examiner says, I believe the reason why that cross is missing from her arm is because she had to be cut out of the freezer when he decided to take her out to hide her under the bed, because his secret was out. Rebecca left him. She told the truth. Police had came inquiring. So he needed to hurry up and get her out of the... Why not take her out of the house? Because he already knew they'll probably be watching the house, which they did. So he couldn't take her out the front door or the back door. That's why he was hanging on the back porch, watching everything, trying to see what was going on. You had Mr. Coates testify that after their little altercation about Rebecca leaving and his wife taking her to a shelter, he remembers seeing him out the window standing on his porch. Yeah, he was watching. And at some point, Sean had to have known, they've got unmarked cars out here. They're watching me. I can't take the body out now. So let's go back to the beginning. Why did you keep the body in the first place? A trophy, souvenir, something to gawk at, look at, admire your handiwork. Macabre, disgusting, vile, sicko, wacko, psychopath. And I do believe Miss Dishman when she said she caught him masturbating to the corpse. I don't believe she made that up. Because we have heard of men who like to have sex with corpses, touch them, fondle them, and still have sex with them. Now, naturally, you can't have sex with a frozen person, but you can masturbate to one, which she claims he did.
There's tons of little cuts all over this body. So what they want to do is make this Sean's fantasy, right? Hookers are the easiest ones to kill. So this is Sean's fantasy. And I told you at the beginning,
probably
it's
was
easy. You know, who are they going to blame, right? Who are they going to blame? And so that's how you can see that he might be fearful that there's a body, or maybe he couldn't make the right decisions, and maybe he made terrible decisions. But the point is, they're trying to switch roles, and I'm trying to switch roles, and that's what we seem to be arguing about here, is who was actually in control of this relationship. We got Dishman. She moved around. She can't stay in a place and she's constantly looking for the next place to go and who's going to take care of her. Okay, she's a Satanist. She has a history of kinky sex. She shows up with all her own kinky sex toys. They meet on Facebook. I have no idea what she said to him on Facebook. We know she was a CNA. We know he takes care of his 80-year-old mother who's in hospice care.
Well,
Maybe she said, I could come live with you and help take care of your mother. I don't know. We don't have any of that stuff.
Well, why you didn't ask your client?
Okay, what else do we know about her? Before Sean.
See, this is when you know
I think that's
a defense attorney hasn't done his job. You're sitting up here trying to put all the blame on Rebecca Dishman as the ringleader of the crime. You basically should have just said she kidnapped the woman. Why not? You don't know what she said to him. So basically you're saying she reached out to him. So I guess the state would say he reached out to her. So your client is right there. You've had ample enough time to ask him the nature of his relationship with Rebecca Dishman, the relationship with Jennifer Paxton, the relationship with any other woman. Hell, did you even ask him? Did you kill her? Did you kidnap her? Why'd you bring her there? Why'd you take her there? What did you do to her exactly, sir? Did you even ever have these conversations with your client? There's no way I'm getting ready to go into court to represent my client, and I don't even know what the fuck he said to her on Messenger. Whether I believe it or not, I still should have a version to present to the court. My client told me he met her on Facebook. He messaged her first. She messaged him. This is what they talked about. You just gonna go into court and say, I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what she said to him. I don't know what he said to her, but your client's right there. He's your client. And you don't think to ask your client, hey, what was the nature of your conversation that led to Rebecca moving into your house? So you act like you just walked into court and just picked up a client to defend. But like they say, it's the burden of the proof. The burden of the proof's on the state. Just prove what happened. Okay, but still, if I got a client, I'm still going to say something to the effect of how he and the other co-conspirator met. I'm also going to describe their relationship. So I'm supposed to believe Sean is going to let you spin the web. She was in control. I don't think that would sit well with him. How about that? Because now you're sending a message to the universe that Sean is weak. And I don't think Sean will want people to think he is a weak duckling. But I know you would do and say anything to try to get your client off, whether your client agrees with the defense mechanism. Checkmate. But there's no way Sean signed off on this defense. Hell no. Because now you're portraying him as if he doesn't have a backbone. He's weak-minded. He couldn't decipher right from wrong. Rebecca Dishman, he allowed his house that he brought there and then hide her in a freezer. Is that what you're saying? That's the message you put into the universe last week, sir. There's no way Sean is happy with that. But what can he do? Just go along with the flow. But I'm sure in his head, he was wanting to scream. No, I'm the orchestrator. I'm the ringleader. I say what goes, not her. She didn't have control over me. And I think it's obvious when you listen to Colt and Mahogany tell you how he acted once he found out Rebecca left him. He was angry. Mother, she's psychotic too, yelling out the window at Rebecca leaving. I'm going to go call and tell Sean. So that lets you know the mother was more aware than what anybody has portrayed her to be in this debacle. Because all we keep hearing is hospice. How many hospice patients do you know jump up and yell out of windows? Because I haven't heard of any. Most hospice patients are bedridden, on dialysis. Barely can move, barely can talk, can't talk. But this hospice patient can move around and run up to windows and holler and scream, hey, stop, stop. hey, I'm going to call Sean and tell him you leaving. And then he just miraculously shows up, banging on Coates' door, asking where's his wife and why are you all in my business? You got a problem with her. You take it up with me. Well, they didn't have a problem with you. They heard you were abusing her and they went and got her help. Why the hell are they going to come call you and tell you, oh, hey, by the way, just want to let you know we're helping your girlfriend go find a shelter to go to. This defense attorney is ratchet.
That's about it. I think that's about all we know about it. So what do we know about Sean before her? I'll put Finnegan up here. Sean lived in the same place for a couple of years. Same place, right? Same place, same home. Sean worked a full job, full-time job, more than a full-time job. And during the busy times of the year, every day he worked. That's the testimony. Okay, so he worked full-time. He worked in full-time. He took care of his 80-something-year-old mother who's in hospice care and ailing and dying. He's picking up her medicine. He's going to work from 5 in the afternoon till 5 o'clock in the morning, just about every day. That's 12 hours a day.
And nobody cares. In that 12-hour time, he couldn't wait to get home to play footsies with a kidnapped victim. Don't try to make it seem like he came home and he was so sleepy. The neighbor already said that the altercation took place around 11, 12 in the morning, afternoon. So obviously he was up, probably cranked up, doped up, him and Rebecca, this girl. Who's to say they didn't get high together? I don't know. I don't really care. The point is that lady didn't drive herself to Oak Ridge. That's the point. She didn't have a car. She didn't have a place to live. The common denominator is Sean Finnegan. He met her over there in North Knoxville on the street in that restaurant, whichsoever, took her out there for funny games. And nobody in their right mind could think you keep torturing a person and cutting on them and strangling them, they're going to continue to live. Where did this ever happen? That's why I found it weird when the girl kept saying, oh, he would choke her, let her go, choke her, let her go. I kept thinking he was just vindictive. You know, look at me, Ma, no hands. You know, the kid riding the bicycle with his hands off the handlebars. That's what the hell this sounds like. This choking release BS. Watch her gag, then stop. Watch her gag, then stop. Because he had control. That was the whole purpose of tying her up, so she couldn't fight back. And yet somebody is stupid enough to say, well, I don't think he intentionally kidnapped her. I don't think he intentionally tried to murder her. But yet you're torturing her, cutting on her, beating her up. So what did you think was going to happen to her? This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit, this jury verdict. So we're going back to hear what each side had to say about Sean Finnegan and Rebecca Dishman and Miss Paxton. And to try to comprehend what the jury obviously missed during this 1-week trial, a couple of days of a trial, which was my fear. They don't hold him fully responsible.
Not counting driving from Oak Ridge to Merchants. So 12 to 13 hours a day, most days. He's not at that place. He's not at that appointment. But he's got a mother to take care of. So it seems reasonable that he might want a little help. If a girl is there and could stay there, that would be helpful.
Yeah, we have no proof she helped.
That would be a reason for her to be there. She to see it.
And he wasn't taking care of his mother.
We heard from her that she had an up and down relationship with Miss Francis, and I'm not sure she did much of anything around that house.
Probably didn't.
That's what it kind of sounds like. But she had the freedom to leave or stay.
She sure did.
Help Miss Francis, or really, she had all the time in the world to do whatever she wanted to. Of the two people that are involved in this, only one of them had all the time in the world to do what they wanted to. And it wasn't Sean Finnegan. Sean Finnegan wasn't there. Sean Finnegan's a simple kind of dude. This is what we know. He He has the same home. He takes care of his mother.
No, that's
he
what
has the same job.
And
he shows up.
That's what
He's
Coach
on
said
time.
about Rebecca.
He's
She was
reliable.
simple.
He does a good job. He stays after work and hangs out. Seems like a normal.
How funny, the defense says he's a simple kind of guy. Goes to work, comes home. And Colt, the neighbor, said the same thing about her. She was simple acting, plain, dressed like a child, acted childlike. Yeah, two simple people found each other in this universe. 6 degrees of separation. She came all the way from Maryville, Tennessee. He's living in Oak Ridge. That's north. Maryville is south, if you didn't know. Man old enough to be her father, and somehow they become tangled up through the Facebook app. Imagine that. I don't think she had a relationship with his mother, Frances. I don't really think she was there to take care of Frances, because you don't hear her say that. That was never mentioned in trial, to my understanding. That she was there to be a caregiver, whether she had CNA skills or not. He brought her there to use her as well. That's why he was beating her up, blacking her eye, breaking her eyeglasses, pushing her down 2 weeks after meeting her in the bathroom. Because Sean Finnegan is violent. And I don't think Rebecca Dishman made that up either. So to sit here and try to compare who they are, a vile, violent chef wannabe compared to a 22-year-old who was going from place to place, I'm trying to understand how one was better than the other. One, he was older, so he should have known better. She foolishly went along for the ride because obviously she was insecure and lonely and needed a place to stay, and she's willing to put up whatever to keep her place. And this is what happens with people. They become delusional. They put up with shit that they know is wrong just for that. For money, place to sleep, food, validation. You see it all the time. We as people put up with stuff we know we have no business putting up with. And it may not get to the severity as this type of case with abuse and mutilation of a body and a corpse. But the point is, everybody has put up with something they didn't have no business putting up with, that they knew they deserved better. They knew the behavior of the person was wrong. And they may have also done things with the person illegal, inhumane, and immoral. Because you hear the stories all the time, just like these two molesting kids together. Somebody left their child in their care and they molested the child. Don't you see what I'm saying? The relationship was escalating to the macabre. And he wanted to see how far he could go with her. So this bullshit that this defense is putting on, that Rebecca was the ringleader, I say no. Sean was baiting her. Let me see what else I can do and see how far along she will ride this ride with me. Because we're now talking about kidnapping, torture, child molestation, and murder, and abuse of a corpse. Ain't nothing left but homosexuality and sleeping with pets. Yeah, I said that last night in the live. That's the only thing missing from the story. It's guy-on-guy action and sex with animals. And I'm surprised we hadn't heard that in this commentary. Because you're talking about, as I just said, mutilation, beating people up, strangulation, cutting of a body, abuse of a corpse, masturbation with a dead person, fecal matter, urination, dog cages locked up, wearing dog collars on Miss Rebecca. There's nothing left but sex with animals and homosexuality. Checkmate.
Oh my God. That's what the person that works with him said, right? Didn't say anything negative about it necessarily. Something about having two girlfriends and laughing around and joking around, and he mentions a Jen. Well, Jen is not an uncommon name, first of all, so who knows who he was talking about, or if that was what he meant when he said it. I mean, they're trying to make you believe some off-the-cuff remark has something to do with this when it may have absolutely nothing to do with that at all.
The remark he's speaking of is Sean talking to the girl at the job, the manager, saying he's got 2 women there taking care of his mother, but Jen has to go. Well, what is your interpretation of that comment? Did he mean she has to go, I'm going to kill her, she's already dead, or it ain't working out her staying in this house with me and Rebecca? I won't doubt that she was already dead when he made the comment. She's got to go. Because perhaps he's been talking about her and he knew that he was taking her out there to kill her, torture her. And even if he didn't intend to kill her, but just wanted to play funny games with her, such as torture, mutilation, she still ended up dead. That's the point. So I got to now make it seem like she walked out on her own or she's getting ready to go in case somebody decides to come around asking. Bet you didn't think about that. Let me go ahead and throw out, it ain't working out with Jen, just in case somebody's been looking for her, start to look for her, and somebody puts me with her. Oh, Sean said he took her to Oak Ridge. Oh, they used to talk here at the job. Oh, I saw her get in his car one morning. Stay woke, everybody. Because don't you find it interesting? He's a walkie-talkie on his job about having 2 women, and one just so happens to be tortured and found dead under a bed 8 months later. I'll let that sit right there. Why was he talking about Jennifer Paxton and Rebecca Dishman to his co-worker?
He was, let's say, he took care of his mom. That's an important thing. Took care of mom.
He didn't take care of his mother.
He was a regular at Rent-A-Center. He was a good customer. He paid his bills on time. He was reliable. He showed up every Friday to pay his bills. That's from...
What all did he rent from Rent-A-Center? Since the defense wants to portray him as a great guy that pays his bills on time, our understanding is that he ordered the freezer from Rent-A-Center. So who's to say that that's the only thing that he's ordered from Rent-A-Center? Because if that's the only thing, that's going to lead people to think, well, he only ordered the freezer to dispose of the girl or hold her in there, and then you're going to what? Pay for the freezer? Pay it off? And keep this lady in this freezer indefinitely? See, there's 1,000 questions you can ask you can't get an answer to. What was the status of this freezer and ordering anything else from Rent-A-Center? Did he have a stereo, sofa, bed from Rent-A-Center? Because I do find it strange. At the beginning of this trial, Rebecca says, oh yeah, I was putting the bed up. So I was thinking about that. Did they not have a bed? Were they sleeping on a futon, a blow-up mattress? What? She said, when the lady came in, I didn't know her, and I was putting up the bed. That sounds weird to me. Putting up the bed. So these 2 didn't have a bed before Jennifer Paxton showed up? Or did he get a bigger bed so he could try to accommodate his new lady friend, kidnapped victim? See, ain't nobody asking the right questions. Because the defense and the state should have asked her, well, what do you mean you were putting up a bed? You didn't have a bed? What happened? Bought a new bed? What do you say? Why were you putting up a bed? I would have asked her. Because I found it strange. Nobody inquired. Mahogany said she saw the people come with the freezer, or she saw the freezer there in the house because she went over, and then they were asking her, well, when did you see it gone? She says, oh, maybe a couple days later when I went back over there. But like I told you all in the chat yesterday, ain't nobody paying attention to the information. Mahogany wasn't quick on her feet. Because the first thing I would have said, why would you allow the freezer to come in the house if you know you didn't order the freezer? So see, Sean told her, oh, they delivered it here by mistake. But see, she ain't like Queen. Because Queen recognized game, honey. I done been around the best manipulator con artists known to man. And if I'm sitting in your house looking at a fucking freezer in the middle of your living room, and you tell me, oh, well, the landlord sent it here by mistake, first thing I'm going to say is, what did you say? It was here when you got home? Oh, no. What I'm saying is somebody knocked on the door. I'm saying, well, okay, if they knocked on the door and you know you didn't order it, then why the fuck you let them bring it inside? Checkmate. Murphy bed? I don't know.
He rented other stuff.
There you go. He rented other stuff.
It wasn't uncommon for him to rent things.
So there we have it. There's my answer. It wasn't uncommon for Sean to order things from Rent-A-Center. So everybody know that's the biggest gimmick going. Ordering from rental furniture because you're paying 3 times what it's worth. So what all did they order from Rent-A-Center? What all the things were in their house came from Rent-A-Center? Bed, dressers, refrigerator, stoves, what? Washing machine, dryer. The apartment should have came with a stove, refrigerator. So that they ordered things like a bed, a dresser, bed frame, mattress. See, this is where the defense fucked up. You should have said that in this statement. Let me give you an itemized list of the things they've ordered from Rent-A-Center. That way people wouldn't be suspicious thinking he only ordered the freezer for Jennifer Paxton. Checkmate. I stay woke. See, there were little loopholes in this case that the state and the defense didn't explain. You should have explained it. Oh, he ordered all the time. This is how long he's been ordering from Rent-A-Center. These are the items he's bought and paid for in full. How about that? When she talked about putting up the bed, the state should have said, well, what do you mean put up the bed? You all didn't have a bed? Did you just get a bed, order a bed, buy a bed, bought a bed used? What are you saying, put up the bed? Why is she putting up a bed? They only had 2 bedrooms, so the state left that open. You should have never left that open. And defense, you should have never left it open what he bought from Rent-A-Center, how many times he shopped, how many items he paid off, how many items he didn't pay off, how many items could have got sent back. Oh, you didn't do your homework. Because now we have this discrepancy about that old freezer. Some say it was already there when Rebecca got there. Some saying it wasn't there when she got there. But at one point, it wasn't there because Mahogany told that. Because she was going over there to smoke with him. So she said one day, I go, yeah, it's there. A couple days later, allegedly, it's missing. It's gone. Well, we now know it wasn't missing. It was right upstairs in Sean's closet with a padlock on it. And who puts a fucking upright freezer in their closet? Stay woke. Who padlocks a door with a freezer in the closet? But yet, this crime is unintentional. This is no intentional kidnapping, no intentional murder of Jennifer Paxton, says the defense. And now says the jury.
So that's the stuff we know about Sean. So these are the 2 people that we have before they meet. We have Rebecca Dishman. She moves around, couldn't stay in a place. She's obviously burning every bridge. She's burning every bridge. She meets Sean on Facebook, moves in with him in a short amount of time, not to work, but to be taken care of, to be a stay-at-home girlfriend, and I have to assume help with his mother. I have to assume. I don't know, but I think that's kind of what she inferred, even though.
Yeah, but you didn't ask your client.
She kind of had an up and down relationship.
Ridiculous.
I would think for Sean, it would be comforting to know that there was someone there with your 80-year-old mother who's sleeping at the top of a wooden staircase. It's just a thought, and you have to be away because you have to support everyone, which is what he was doing. So he housed her, he fed her, including several other people who probably stayed and maybe helped with his mother. But that's what we know about them. That's what we know about them from their witnesses, from the state's witnesses. That's what we know about these 2 people. And we're talking about character here, right? What do we know about from the neighbors? Okay, because they make it, the neighbors choose Rebecca, right? Well, Sean lived there before Rebecca. The neighbors knew him before Rebecca was there. And what did they say? We never had a problem with Sean. They were friends. Nothing weird. Never had a problem.
good neighbor.
Well, you may not have had a problem out of him because maybe when he came home at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, he was tired, went to sleep. If he was entertaining company, they did their thing in there and nobody knew what the fuck was going on. That's the whole point. You can see people coming and going out of people's apartments and houses, but you don't have to necessarily know what they're about and what they got going on. You only start noticing when people are raising hell, loud, drunk, coming outside, hollering, screaming, banging on windows, breaking out car windows, things like that. Drug trafficking. A lot of people running in and out. So how often were people running in and out? Because as you hear the defense say, he did take care of people, let people come in. He's a caretaker. Literally. Check in and you don't check out. But nobody had problems with him, says the neighbors. Well, maybe you weren't his appetites. Who's to say? The point is, if a person's coming in late, if they're entertaining, he wasn't entertaining the neighbors. How about that? Entertaining other type of company. So you didn't have a problem with him. So what? What's your point? And frankly, what he was into, I don't think he was wanting to share with the neighbors. How about that? I don't think he wanted to share. He likes putting dog collars around women's necks, choking them out, locking them in cages, making them walk across the floor like a dog, urinating, defecating on them, choking them out. Nah, I don't think I want to tell my neighbor I like to do that. Oh no, what would they think of me? Let's keep it real. Nobody knows the sexual appetites of their neighbors, what they're doing inside their house when the door is closed. If they're up all night reading a book, cooking eggs or bacon, watching porn, rough sex, violent sex, how would we know that? Because most of us don't care. We don't want to know. So he's not going to share those type of things with strangers. But I think he decided to pick and choose who he wanted to exact those things against. And that would be Rebecca Dishman and Jennifer Paxton.
Pre-Rebecca. All right.
You also left out he has violent history with guns, criminal record, and naturally you wouldn't bring up the kidnapping case out of Blount County in 2015 because the court should have heard that. But he didn't get arrested, and sometimes even arrest records aren't allowed in court during trial. Old criminal records, allegations. And we've heard that in many rape trials. A person's been accused of rape, committed rape, and it wasn't allowed in the next trial. So these people walking around have no idea a person has raped, but they need that information because past behavior is indicator of future behavior, especially if they have not changed. And I think Sean, at 50-something years old, had escalated to the macabre. And I won't doubt he's done it to other people, but maybe there's nobody that wanted to come to court and testify against him, just in case his ass got out. Now they'll be scared to walk around so they don't bump into him somewhere on the street. I also saw in the chat, on the law and crime chat, he's worked a few places. Somebody said he worked at some restaurant out on Norris Lake. Somebody the other day said he worked at Swifties in Oak Ridge before the name changed to Okies. Oakley's or whatever. So he's been busy. Moving around different counties working as a cook chef. And we also learned this woman was mutilated and cut a lot of times on her body. So he's good with a knife. And even the medical examiner said one of the cuts was beautiful. Those were her own words. The cut was beautiful. Around the breast area, whoever had the knife kept slicing little slice marks around the breast, nipple, until they cut the whole thing off. Now imagine that. But yet, who works with knives every day? Sean Finnegan. Who's a cook? Who's a chef? Sean Finnegan. And yet the medical examiner tells you that one of the parts of the body had a neat cut. And I'm assuming she's talking about the breast area. I don't think Rebecca did that. If she did, she didn't admit to it.
So they met on Facebook, right? It didn't take long before she moved in. And we talked earlier about how our natural tendency, I think, in power, looking at a power and control in a relationship, my natural tendency is to think, especially in most scenarios, that a man is in charge, especially if there's some kind of combative relationship or whatever. We usually think of the man as being bigger and stronger and in charge. Folks, look at the pictures. If you're just talking about the strength, because he brought up strength, that's the only reason I'm bringing this up. At the time, Sean probably weighed 150 pounds. I don't know, that might be in the record somewhere, whatever. So did Rebecca. Or maybe more. She was bigger than she was when she sat in here, and she had purple hair. She looked different than she came in here. So that's another thing you should ask yourself about too. Is why would they dress her up like a teenager and sit her up in here with her hair and her glasses and stuff to make her look like she was simple? That's not what she looked like when she was arrested.
Well, she wears glasses. That's not dressing her up. She's an eyeglass wearer.
August 8th, 2020, because that's really where the story begins, right?
This man is crazy.
This timeline down here is what I'm going to love to use. All right? Back here's November, December. This is 2019. All right? And then we got all the way over here. We got August 8th. I'll go 8-8. I mean,
content keeps jumping off. I'm going to say this and I'm going to check out of here. It's already 2 hours and 32 minutes in. No matter how she looked, yeah, she was bigger then, had colored hair. Obviously, he's trying to say he's a small guy. Weight smaller. That does not mean he's not strong. You could be 5'5", 5'8", 150 pounds as a man. You have muscle mass. And that's what determines your strength. It's the muscle mass. I think everybody knows this. So it doesn't really matter. Height, weight. Okay? He was a man with muscle mass. See, this is not starting. They got a break. Hold on, everybody.
all this torturing is happening, all this stuff. She's making up all this stuff that has just been changes over time as they go through the interview, but they still believe her because she has the inability to lie. Remember, she can't lie. And so she's still in control. She's guiding the investigation, and she knows something about that. She knows that there's a body at Sean's place because he helped cover up the murder she committed. She knows all the details. She knows all the details of the body. She knows all the details of everything on that woman, on Miss Paxton's body, her tattoos, number of kids, all these kind of things. You know why? Because she was there with her. 12 to 13 hours a day by herself. The whole time, anytime, whenever she was there, she was the one who was with her. And he told you that all those entries. I think the DA asked her, how long would it take to accomplish this? Someone would have to spend a lot of time with them, right? Well, who spent a lot of time with her? Not she.
You don't have to spend a lot of time with a person to mutilate their body. Okay? Makes no sense. You have a person in bondage, tied up, zip tied up, chained up. How long do you think it would take to put 40 cut marks on a person? People have been stabbed in one incident 5 times, 4 times, 7 times, 8 times, 20 times. But yet this fool here wants to say, oh, well, it takes a lot of time to injure a person. No, it does not. You have a person tied up, bound up, you're sick, you're wacko, you're a psychopath. You can put 30, 40 injuries at one time. Because she already told you that some were superficial, some were deep. So the person's tied up, you want to cut them on the neck, cut them on the eye, cut them on the cheek, cut them on the ear, cut them in the head, cut them on the back, cut them on the thigh. How long do you think it would take to do that in one sitting? Especially if you're doing it for hours on end. Wouldn't take very long. And as the medical examiner told you in court, there were a lot of marks she can't even mention because there were so many of them. So whether she stayed in their possession 3 days, 2 days, 5 days, a week, doesn't matter. She didn't sign up for that. She didn't ask for that. She didn't sign a contract. Yeah, I'm going to come out here. You're going to pay me for sex, and then I'm going to let you mutilate my body and strangle me and kill me. It's BS. And like I said, what should have been mentioned was his criminal record. Violence. Don't know if it did because I didn't watch all of it in the beginning, but that should have been mentioned. He has a criminal record with guns, and he has an allegation from 2015. They should also ask those other women to testify to speak on their relationship with him. Because he had the jury know he kidnapped somebody before and battered her up. They should have had no problem believing he deliberately kidnapped her to kill her. Because then it shows, okay, he made sure this person wouldn't get away, Jennifer Paxton. I won't let her get away. I let that other girl talk me into taking her back to Knoxville from Blount County. But this time, ain't nobody walking out of here. That's why he wanted Rebecca around. He wanted a play toy, a puppet. That's why I couldn't understand what was the purpose of getting Paxton. He could have easily done all those things to to Rebecca. Why wasn't he cutting her? He was beating her up, pushing her around, but we don't hear that he was cutting on her. Now, allegedly, Rebecca was a cutter back in school, did it for soothing reasons. We've learned that's why a lot of people cut themselves. So some can say, well, she could have done it because she's a cutter. She could have been jealous of the woman. She could have been. She could have cut her because she was jealous of her or because she's a cutter. I don't know. I wasn't there. I say they're evenly yoked. Because we now have this woman saying they molested a kid. She sat by while he abused this woman, choked her, raped her. She raped her too. Why am I supposed to believe Sean Finnegan did nothing to this victim but just tie her up? I'm supposed to believe the hours he was home with the victim and Rebecca, he just looked at her tied up and that was it. That's what the defense wanted us to believe. And obviously these foolish ass jury members believed it. This is nonsense to me. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to read the latest update pertaining to this case. And then I'm going to check out here. Thank you for joining me. This is a vile case. Very vile case. You're entitled to believe what you want, because right now a verdict has already been entered. It'll be up to these jury members to decide what his fate will be. That's the next phase that will happen tomorrow. The sentencing phase of the case. What will be the sentence of Sean Finnegan? They got a lot of Sean Finnegans. Can you believe that when you're doing a Google search? WBIR.com is the source. Finnegan was found guilty of kidnapping, raping, and murdering Jennifer Paxton in Knoxville. Jennifer Paxton of Knoxville, December 2019. Her frozen body was found under his bed, August 2020. This is the latest information, everybody. Thank you for joining me. An Anderson County jury has convicted Sean Finnegan in a capital murder case. A week after the trial started, Finnegan was found guilty of first-degree felony murder in the death of 35-year-old Jennifer Paxton, which means he will potentially face the death penalty. Well, now, the jury will return Tuesday at 10 a.m., which will kick off the phase 2 of the trial to determine if Finnegan will be sentenced to death or life in prison without parole. The reason why I was raising such a stink at the beginning of this is because they didn't find him guilty of the, I believe it was first-degree kidnapping, which I found strange. So here it says they found him guilty of first-degree murder, but I believe they didn't find him guilty of that kidnapping offense, a lesser charge of the kidnapping offense. Finnegan was also found guilty of criminally negligent homicide, multiple aggravated kidnapping charges, attempted aggravated rape. See that? Attempted aggravated rape, 2 conspiracy charges, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. He was found not guilty on 2 charges of conspiracy to commit premeditated murder and aggravated rape with bodily injury. So that's why I have a problem with those charges there. He was found not guilty on 2 charges of conspiracy to commit premeditated murder. So basically they're saying he didn't conspire to murder her. And then there's an aggravated rape with bodily injury. Those charges he was found not guilty of, which makes no sense to me. An Anderson County jury returns to court Monday morning to resume deliberations in the capital murder case of Sean Finnegan. Jurors pondered the case several hours Saturday afternoon before Senior Judge Don Ash relieved them for the rest of the weekend. They are sequestered. They've been told don't talk to each other, don't call people, don't talk on social media, don't research anything about the case. 12 people are considering the charges against 56-year-old Finnegan. 4 alternates have been retained and are on hand in case any of the 12 becomes incapacitated. The trial started August 12th in Clinton with jury selection. Lawyers in the case and the judge had screened hundreds of potential panelists in the lead up to the death penalty trial, a rare event in Tennessee. Yes, 1,000 people were originally polled for jury members back in, I believe it was March or May. And 90 people showed up to the court last Monday to be selected as a jury member. Finnegan is accused of kidnapping Jennifer Paxton, 35, of Knoxville, December 2019, holding her captive in his Oak Ridge apartment, raping her repeatedly, abusing her, beating her, ultimately strangling her to death. His living girlfriend and co-defendant, Rebecca Dishman, has already pleaded guilty to murder and testified at his trial last week. The jury has to sort through more than a dozen counts from murder to abuse of a corpse. Within the counts are alternative offenses they can consider. If they convict Finnegan of first-degree murder, they'll shift to a second punishment phase of the trial in which they'll consider if he should be put to death, which that should be tomorrow. The prosecution argues Finnegan should be executed for what he did to Paxton after killing her. He put her body in a freezer. He rented and stored it in the closet of his bedroom. He kept her there for months, according to the prosecution, viewing her body for his sexual pleasure. Dishman knew what he'd done to her and was present during the rapes and abuse, according to court testimony. By December 2020, Dishman wanted to get away from the apartment and Finnegan, according to testimony, as she fled August 5th, 2020, with a neighbor. She confided about Paxton in the freezer, leading to a call to authorities. Finnegan confronted the neighbor's husband about stepping in to help Dishman. Oak Ridge police responded and alerted about a body in the freezer. Questioned Finnegan. He denied it. Realizing he was about to be discovered, Finnegan removed the body from the freezer and hid it under the bed, according to the prosecution. Oak Ridge police still found it during a search of the home. The trial has featured graphic and disturbing testimony about how the killers treated Paxton in life and death. For Finnegan, she was the perfect victim. Prosecutor Kevin Allen told jurors on Friday she was addicted to drugs, homeless, and had to sell her body to get money. Defense attorney Kit Rogers throughout the trial has pushed the jury to remember Dishman and her role in Paxton's abuse and death. It was Dishman who spent the most time with the victim. He said it was Dishman who controlled the relationship with Finnegan. He argued Friday, which Queen is saying that's a bunch of bull. And it was Dishman, he said, who made Finnegan the fall guy when she was ready to end the relationship. WBIR News 10 is the source. So let's chop that up for a quick second. Something to ponder on. She's ready to go, so she's going to tell there's a woman in the freezer dead. As the state said, what would she gain by telling this truth? Whether she lied about her role, what she didn't do with Paxton, she still has to tell the story. Oh, yeah, I've been living here for this amount of months. Yeah, we raped her, did this, blah, blah, blah. He strangled her, put her in the freezer. You're still there, and you didn't help. So she'd have to be a fool to think, one, that she wouldn't be arrested. But somehow she must not have thought about it because she was. Now she's serving life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 50 extra years for sexual assault of a child. 2 charges. So it shows you there's something mentally wrong with her. Because all she had to do was just walk out and never look back, never tell anybody of the child molestation or the woman in the freezer. She could have never told it and kept moving. That's what's so interesting about the story, is how long she stayed with Finnegan and the fact she confessed to her sins to Mahogany, Peacoat. Why? And in the end, as the state said, she didn't gain anything because she's now incarcerated. But if she doesn't have the mindset to, she didn't have cognitive reasoning, that would explain why she confessed and told it, because maybe in her mind, she didn't think she had did anything wrong. I'm not saying she didn't do anything wrong. We know she did. Whether she aided in mutilating the body, raping, murdering the lady, helped murdering, she could have, but she didn't help her get free. That's the point. So she's guilty as well. Negligent homicide, at the least. But she didn't gain anything by telling the truth because she ended up being arrested. Once again, she could have easily just walked away, never said a word. Let that body stay in that freezer for Sean to have to deal with. But he wanted her because he did not want to, one, lose his puppet, his victim, and he also had to worry about what you go to the street and tell pertaining to the dead woman and what he had done to both of them. So he needed her back. And I won't doubt, had he found a way to get a hold of Rebecca and she stupidly went back, we would possibly be talking about 2 women in a freezer. Or 1 in the freezer, 1 under the bed, if you see where I'm going. Because he then would have to get rid of Rebecca. No way he could continue to let her live if she foolishly went back to him. It's a very diabolical case. I'm going to read you something, play something for you, and you decide who is the dominant one in the relationship and who you think actually kidnapped, tortured, raped, and murdered Jennifer Paxton. We're going to go back in time. Please check out the shorts, my shorts. Check out my uploads, all my videos pertaining to true crime, breaking news. Also follow me on the Newsbreak app. I have a lot of people now deciding to follow the Queen over there. I also post content over there. So I am simultaneously posting content to YouTube and the Newsbreak app. And I want to thank those followers who are following me over there. And also those who have decided to come over here to YouTube and watch the content over here. I put up a poll the other day. Do most people who watch the trial believe that Sean Finnegan unalived Jennifer Paxton? 88% yes, 6% no, 6% not sure. I said, what will the jury decide? Not guilty, 2%. Guilty, 55%. Life, no parole, 20%. Death, 19%. Not sure, 5%. You're going down the road, and inside of the car, a passenger, your friend tells you they have sexually assaulted a child and put a woman in a freezer with their boyfriend. What do you do? One second. I had the question. Hold on, you guys. Got to get to that one. Go off on the person. Pull over, put them out, 3%. Go off, call 911, take the person to the police station, 10%. Say nothing to them, dial 911, go to the police station, 81%. Not sure, 1%. Comfort them, 911, then police station, 5%. 101 votes. So most of you said you wouldn't say anything, but take them to the police station. Call 911 and take them to the police station. I was asking about the holdup on the verdict. Most will find Sean Finnegan guilty, 56%. Not guilty, 0%. Life, no parole, 14%. Death, 21%. Not sure, 9%. If Sean Finnegan didn't have Rebecca Dishman as a cohort, she wasn't there, let's say, he committed this crime all by himself, would he still have pled not guilty? 65% of you said yes. 18% said no. 18% not sure. It's funny you all would say that. That you think he still wouldn't have pled guilty, even if there was no Rebecca Dishman there. That's scary. So basically you're saying he's a narcissist. We're going to go back to some of my earlier content that's in the YouTube queue. I want to thank the person who found my old video of the evidence against Sean from years ago where he was accused of sexual assault.
Hello, Miss Johnny D. Hope you're well out there in Texas. And thanks for joining me, everyone. I'd like to bring you an update to the storyline pertaining to the woman who was found in the freezer, stored in the freezer, and later discovered on her bed in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. If you need verification for the storyline, please log on to WAPE66. What happened with previous rape charge against suspect in Brooklyn, Oak Ridge murder? The following story is graphic in nature. Readers' discretion is advised. A $1 million bond has been set for both suspects in a group of Oak Ridge murder. Sean Finnegan and Rebecca.
Hold on. Let me jump a little bit. Hold on.
County outside of Knoxville. 15 reported Finnegan was charged with her investigation. So as you see, this just corroborates. And so now Blount County is saying they don't have it in the system, but Knox County.
Hold on, I'm trying to find the original to this.
Pertaining to this creep. He obviously raped a woman in Louisville, Tennessee, which is in Blount County, a neighboring county of Knox County.
Let me find this other video. This is where I tell you the story. Hold on, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Once again, Jordan Chiles has not returned her bronze medal. That was at the beginning of this live stream before the verdict was read in Clinton, Tennessee. Anna Barbosu has a duplicate bronze medal now. Lord have mercy. What a mess. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to find this information to play for you all. This is pertaining to the older allegation against him that obviously wasn't played in court.
Hello, everybody. This is Everyday Shenanigans. I'm at the scene of a gruesome crime that took place over a year ago. And if you need verification for the information, WVLT is the source. Disturbing details revealed in murder trial of a couple accused of killing, dismembering Oak Ridge woman. A couple accused of first-degree murder in the death of an Oak Ridge woman found dismembered in a home in August 2020 appeared in court for preliminary hearing Friday. This content was uploaded March 5th, 2021. According to Oak Ridge Police, 52-year-old Sean Finnegan and his girlfriend, 22-year-old Rebecca Dishman, have been identified as suspects. The two suspects
Come on.
caught his attention. After the three, and sorry if I'm a little bit off, to how this crime came about. So obviously, Miss Dishman, the 22-year-old, as the victim, and when they arrived at the home to execute a search warrant, the body place, very quiet street here in the secret city. You will hear some dogs barking.
Hold on a minute.
There are one bedroom in the next apartment. That's
I'm trying to find an article about the other lady.
To live. Allegedly, he paid her. But it's sad. Allegedly, she had 6 or 7 kids. I don't know where they were at the time. This man, the words ensued. They brought a woman in, and Ruth tells is, why would she wait that long, August of 2020? And allegedly, and possibly,
Sorry.
than that.
I'm going through the video trying to find.
And Miss Dishman decides she wants to. Why didn't he take her and dispose of her body? I think I'm gonna pull it up right here. First-degree murder, aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. This is sad and sick. This is the building. It's a dilapidated, rundown duplex that should be torn down. Nobody should be living in the said apartment because a woman was brutally held captive in there, kidnapped, against her will, tortured, and brutally murdered. Body parts torn off of her and kept in an upright freezer. For what reason? What logical reason would you have to do this to a human being? And this is right here in East Tennessee, very small town, government town, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Brutality took place here. I did talk to the young lady that lived next door, 316, a year or so ago. And she basically said she did hear banging, but she didn't complain. She didn't call the landlord and she didn't call the police. So now imagine, while that girl was sitting in that apartment, hearing that banging going on around December of 19, that lady was fighting for her life, wishing somebody would have aided her, came to her rescue, saved her. But instead, the lady didn't pay attention. In the neighboring house, someone said they did hear screaming around Christmas time, but they didn't pay any attention and didn't get up. Imagine that somebody got up and just listened and perhaps walked outside and heard her hollering or screaming. They could at least call 911 and perhaps this poor soul will be alive today. If you want to donate to the channel, $Big Angie 129 Cash App.
You see something, say something.
See, I was trying to bring the article
Like
up.
somebody would make up this story, That is the said address. I'm going to give you an aerial view of this said place. Very quiet street. It is right here. The Knoxville Police Department was able to identify Paxton as the victim after Dishman gave investigators a description which police ran through the Knoxville missing persons reports. Dishman alerted authorities to the incident and told them.
I was trying to find an article that I read pertaining to the charge from 2015. I can't find it. I'm already at 3 hours, but it's you can find it in the Google search. So I'm not going to hold you all because I'm already 3 hours in. Thank you for your time. This is diabolical. All this information that I brought to you pertaining to this case. Once again, he's been found guilty of first-degree murder of Ms. Paxton, but there were at least 3 charges where he was found not guilty, and that's conspiracy to commit murder, and I guess 2 charges of kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping. What will his fate be? Life in prison? Life with the possibility of parole? Life without parole? Or will the jury recommend the death penalty for Sean Finnegan? That's my commentary. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji 129 Cash App. Stickers in chat. Always welcome during the live stream. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. I'll be back with more stimulating content and commentary. Feel free to follow the Queen, Big Sexy 71 on IG and Newsbreak app, where I have a few videos uploaded and a few posts uploaded on my profile, the Vault Excel. I still have an X page. I have not put any content on it in a year, but feel free to follow me here and on the Newsbreak app. Prayers to Ms. Paxton's family, her children. Prayers for justice, that he will be served, that this man will stay in prison until his natural life has expired. That's what I'm praying for. No freedom to roam, get out early, praying for no appeals, just seriously perish in there, because what he did to this woman is uncalled for. And later on, I will bring you content pertaining to a serial killer out of Canada, some information I want to touch on, and also this content that's circulating pertaining to people being found dead in Texas in a lake. A lot of murders, or as they're saying, accidental drowning, suicides, that some people are deeming murder victims, possible serial killer. But I believe officials are trying to say these bodies aren't linked to one another or a certain person or a specific person. But we're going to take a look into that soon. The next live stream will be pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.